Now I restarted the recording. Perfect. Okay, so this is Umineko 4, Mother Cry 4, Umineko Chiru. This is what people call the answer arcs. This is Umineko episodes 5 through 8. We're starting 5 tonight. The last 5 minutes have been a train wreck, but don't worry about it. Let's read stuff here. Good morning. Please enjoy this new game by a new game master at your leisure. However, the game has already reached a climax. The culprit has been cornered and there's nothing left to do but await the final checkmate. But for that very reason, there must be something for you to spot looking down on it from afar. The difficulty is fairly easy. What could possibly deceive you after all this time? There's no tips section yet. The controls menu? Oh yeah, I always forget that, like, so these controls here are like basic on-scripter controls. So it's similar to, like, being able to reset any RPG Maker game by hitting F12. All this stuff is just in there by default, I believe. What they don't tell you is that you can hit space to, like, advance the text, so, you know, you could mention, like, the important controls, but no. Alright. So, let's finally get started. I've been looking forward to this for a while now. And after 5 streams of Cobblemon and Draw Straight, I finally want to take a break from that, at least for now, and read something. The opening will probably reach a few minutes in, yeah. It's pretty decent, but I really prefer the original. Oh, hold on. Okay. There we go. Now we're good. Sorry you guys had to see that. You idiot! Isn't it obvious? It'll be fun to kill her and see her face twist in pain. Why else? Gahaha. This is still too loud. I'll fix it. Okay. I'll turn that a bit on mind. Look, don't turn your eyes away. Look at it. Look. It's magic, it's furniture. No matter how much you try to deny me in magic. Look. Yeah. Sorry, Badler. It was pretty fun. Sure, I just did what teacher told me, but look how great it turned out. Apparently, if you started all hostile, needlessly brutal, then turned confident and soft at just the right moment, you could spark a huge bump on your affection meter, right? This seems to just be flashbacks showing top 10 Beatrice moments. I don't remember this. Is this here for people who bought Cheater without buying and reading the question arcs? It's a strange intro. Now this background here is more of what I think of when I think of Cheater. That lonely tone was the desolate sound of the wind blowing by. The glittering rose petals on these bushes were all golden. Do I have... Oh hey, it actually... Okay. So I put some characters here. We got like a weird layout over here though. Oh, okay, it's technically like kind of like spoiling stuff there. So let's not yet. That's really weird. The first 4 were really good about that. The cloud of gold butterflies that had once danced through this garden. This golden rose garden, like fluttering rose petals, was no longer anywhere to be seen. I need to get used to reading slow again. The master of the Golden Land is the Golden Witch, Beatrice. She might be called inhumane and cruel. She is. Arrogant and outrageous. She is. Or perhaps not even simple. Sometimes, yeah. That laugh of hers, which lost its grace more and more the longer it continued, could no longer be heard. So, if you remember, Beatrice was kind of going through cycles of, like, depression at the end of Umineko 4. Like, for whatever reason, it seemed that because Battler couldn't remember his sin, apparently, that wasn't against Beatrice, so she said, she got upset and just wanted to quit the game. And at the end, she came back, stuck with it. She got speared with, like, a bunch of, like, logic spears, kind of Danganronpa style, but with spears. And then, like, her ghost floated down. It was like, you have one mystery left. Who am I? Pretty much. The Golden Witch Beatrice. Sat like a doll, resting in a decked chair, adorned as beautifully as the Golden Rose Garden itself. She wasn't relaxing there. Her eyes were empty. She didn't respond to any questions. Even so, she was not permitted to sleep. Beatrice sat like a doll. Wrong Beatrice. Her hair was down, and Virgilia was carefully tending to it with a comb. The usual Beato would surely have spent this time complaining about this and that regarding her hairstyle. However, she made no response, showed no reaction. So it really only looked like Virgilia was combing the golden hair of a large doll. There was a table alongside them. On it sat a chessboard, along with a jumble of black and white pieces locked in closely fought battle. However, this setup looks somewhat different from normal chess. That's probably because it was flipped. Ooh. Maybe the game was similar, though not identical. And on the other side, sitting back in his chair as he contemplated his next move, was a young man. No, perhaps it wasn't his next move he contemplated. Every once in a while, he would change the positions of the pieces, reconsidering the situation after every change. Maybe he was reconstructing previous games, trying to discover the thought process behind the moves that had been made. So, also as a reminder... like coffee, no. Battler didn't necessarily find the truth behind every murder and stuff in the old games, but he managed to provide possible answers to every single one of them that Beatrice either could not or did not refute. So he presented correct, well, not correct, but valid blue truths. So essentially he's won right now. But this last question might be tormenting him. In the past, Kinzo, the Yoshimura family head, once said that winning chessboard arrangements was like taking a journey through the thoughts of the old masters. The Yoshimura battler was on a journey, a search for the thought process that had led the Golden Witch to create this arrangement and make these moves. Yeah, because even if we know how Beatrice, we don't know who Beatrice, and we don't know why Beatrice, basically. Battler took a black piece that should have been moved forward and returned it to its original place, sighing deeply. Battler's pieces were white. However, on this chessboard, the black encampment was on Battler's side. He was reconstructing that arrangement, trying to play Beato's role. The more I do this, the less I understand your moves. Even Battler didn't expect that Beato would respond to that statement. Well, we don't really know how Beatrice, but we have theories as to how Beatrice. I'm done. I'll make a pot of coffee later. Or rather, he was pretending to talk to himself, thinking there might still be some chance of her responding. Get used to seeing long-haired Beatrice for a little while. Beatrice's eyes reflected nothing, and her mouth told nothing. We'll have a nickname for her soon. After begging him to kill her, the Golden Witch had become a corpse that had given up on life. She wasn't sleeping. She couldn't step down from this game, and was therefore forbidden sleep. So those words must have reached her ears. However, they probably hadn't reached her heart. The Golden Witch would not sneer at Battler's moves, nor would she praise them or belittle them. By now, Beatrice was nothing more than a living doll. Even so, she would glance at him every once in a while. Yep, I can understand wanting to know where it's coming, where it comes from. If you see it, you're like, well, that's weird. It doesn't seem like a big deal. Why haven't we seen her with her hair done? We've seen her in like a high school uniform, you know? But no, it is kind of a big deal. It would be an empty glance, but a glance nonetheless. This should come as obvious, but for anyone who doesn't know what happens in Umineko and doesn't want to be spoiled, do not ever even Google the word Umineko with anything. You'll see suggestions. Don't go on the wiki, even if you think you're safe. You're not safe. At the top of a lot of pages, you'll instantly see, like, probably within the first paragraph, this character is yada yada this spoiler word, spoiler, fact, whatever kind of thing. Be very careful. She does have Yukari hair. Sometimes she would seem to make some sort of gesture. I mean, I've seen, I want to say, like... Yeah, oh. Okay. Portraits. Oh, yeah. I've seen this before. This nice image. Who made this? Drawn by Math Note, apparently. Someone named Math Note drew this. Or edited it, or whatever. It's neat. So, yeah, you're not the only one who's like, gives me the Yukari vibes. Yeah, of course, there's the Kaguya one too. The Witch of Eternity. Sometimes she would seem to make some sort of gesture, or even move her lips. However, her movements never managed to communicate anything to Battler. How did you decide on this move in this situation? I don't get it at all. I don't understand your moves. Beato, Battler-kun is talking to you. Say something. Giggle or guffaw or something. Even use that shrill laugh of yours if you want. Can you believe it? That shrill laugh of Beato's will never be heard again. However, even if she couldn't answer, his voice surely reached her. That was what Battler believed as he said those words. So he said it again. How did you decide on this move in this situation? I don't get it at all. I don't understand your moves. So you don't understand what this child is thinking? Virgilia answered in her disciple's stead. Up to this point, she had done her best to avoid speaking for Beato. After all, there was a chance that Beato would respond in some way, and Virgilia didn't want to be the one to steal that chance. So Battler was going to have to bear with his silence, until Beato herself answered. Virgilia could no longer bear to watch Battler like this. Besides, Battler also wanted to hear what Virgilia had to say. He believed that conversation would reach Beato's heart. Yep, I don't have a clue. The more I try standing in Beato's shoes and moving the pieces like this, the less I understand. A serial murder following an epitaph. With that as a victory condition, I tried reconstructing the games from the witch's side, but I never ended up making the moves Beato did. In those games, I could find several incomprehensible moves that clearly worked against that victory condition. I don't get it at all. This journey through her thoughts is just too rugged. Even so, you won't give up, will you? I won't. I promised. Kill me. Let me die. Sorry, cats are going nuts. I promised to let her die peacefully. And I'm the only one who can do it. Beato's right ankle was bound with a heavy cold steel shackle. It wasn't tied to anything, so it didn't restrict her movement. However, it symbolized restriction. It was a visualization of the bonds that prevented her from leaving the game until she either won or lost. I want to say, like, was it Bryn Castell Lambda Delta put this on her near the end of the last game, before she went and had her big showdown with Battler? Oh, also, more Meatball Craft got featured in Curse Forge. Good, good. Meatball Craft is awesome. It is probably, like, the best in development pack going on right now. Like, it's still getting changed and updated a lot. It really should be, like, up there, like, in the top few, and I hope that it, like, continues being developed for a few more years. However long it needs, really. But also a reminder, Kinzo is dead at the start of the game. Womp womp. That was the big reveal at the end of part 4. And the shackle was probably hurting her. The mercilessly cold shackle tormented her over and over inside her waking dream. So, there was never any sign of relief in her empty expression. Her eyelids would sometimes tremble like she was having a nightmare, and every once in a while, she would let out a faint gasp. Unless I win, Beato will never be released from the curse that would prevent her from sleeping peacefully. Are you sure you want to be doing this? It seems the 5th game has already started. Not interested. Why should I take part in any game unless Beato is my opponent? If that's the only alternative, then it's a much better use of my time to reconstruct previous games, while taking a journey in search of Beato's thought process. Why is there any game going on at all, if Battler and Beatrice aren't playing? Don't worry, soon I'll be able to show off the other 2 portraits on my wall. But right now, there's still spoilers for a little bit. Soon, very soon, I promise. I think. I know one of them soon. I'll be the next game master. Any objections? You've got none, right? I've got nothing but objections. Beato conceded the fight and is unconscious. Isn't this loss by default and game over for her? I'll admit what's happened to Beato, and she's basically been KO'd for now. But that doesn't mean she's lost the will to fight. That's why I'm acting as her assistant. Get it? Get the hint? Beato was lying down on a deck chair, almost as though she was sleeping. However, she wasn't sleeping. And she wasn't awake either. She was nothing more than a living doll that had given up on victory, who had asked Battler to perform her last rites, and who had surrendered everything. By the way, we're going to have a lot of new characters soon. Can you believe that? We're 5 episodes in, and there's still going to be new characters. Quite a few. Like I said, you'll get to see one of those portraits pretty soon. A character important enough to have her own portrait? Who could that be? Of course, if everyone just sat around, the next game, the 5th game, would never be made ready. Shh, quiet real. Yeah, if you want to give me CGs as they come up though, please do. I'd love to show them off. So, when the Delta had succeeded Beato, is out within. I see the volume of that is working just fine today. That's good. When the Delta had succeeded Beato as the Nets Game Master and announced that she'd prepared the Nets game. Oh, also, Roger, happy birthday. I saw on Discord. It's Roger's birthday, her own bother, Roger. Quit messing around. This is a game between me and Beato. I don't know who you two are, but I'm not going to let you carry on without us. No one asked for your opinion. What will you do, Byrne? Accept my challenge, or not? Sure. Go ahead and inherit her role. The hell? Quit messing around. I don't know who you people are, but I'm not going to let you ignore Beato and me. Just carry on by yourselves, Battler. Have you not read Higurashi? Come on. Come on. Surely you know who they are. Hey, take it easy. Okay, sure. A new player means you'll face new kinds of moves. I'm sure you'll see a lot of stuff that confuses you, but even that might lead to some big hints. Get it? Who cares? Quit saying whatever you want and deciding everything on your own. Beato's game has repeated 4 times, and you still don't understand anything, right? In that case, I expect that swapping out opponents might lead to some huge hints. That's none of your business. This is our game. Beato prepared it, and she designated me to be her opponent. I don't know what hole you two crept out of, but I don't want you screwing things up. Like a sewage tank hole? In that case, wake Beato up and make her get the Nets game ready. Can you? Beato won't be getting up for a while. Anyway, we don't need to have another game. The 4 games she's already laid out are more than enough. And even if we do have some 5th game, there's no reason it shouldn't just be a puzzle Beato lays out and I take on. There's absolutely no reason for you two to butt in. Battler couldn't hide his irritation at the 2 witches calling him the Delta and Byrne Castell, who had shown up well after the game's start, and who are now trying to take charge on their own. It looked like these witches were of an even higher rank than Beato. I assume this was like one of those cases where, you know, you've got a D&D friend group, and your game master quits, and then the people that showed up like late into your campaign decide to just take over, but nobody likes their campaign. It looked like these witches were of an even higher rank than Beato, so high, in fact, that even Beato's teacher, Virgilia, couldn't even come close. Battler had the feeling he'd seen these two several times before. However, this was the first time he'd known their names and spoken to them directly. You can't get the Nets game ready without waking Beato. That's why I'll prepare the Nets game. We aren't so patient that we're willing to wait forever for Beato to regain consciousness. Alright, Byrne? I don't like boredom. It really ticks me off. We don't really give a damn whether you're bored or not. Come on now. Leave everything to this perfect Linda Delta-sama, okay? I'll take over as the game master. Don't worry, I don't play with too much absolute perfection. Just like Beato, I'll set up plenty of incomprehensible fakes, clues, and bonus hints. I'll make this game a huge hint that'll help you understand Beato's world even better, okay? Why is this in all caps? Mama, このパーフェクトなラムダデルタ様に任せなさい。私がゲームマスターを引き継ぐ。大丈夫. I see, it's because it didn't katakana. So it's more like sarcasm, actually. I don't know why they put it in all caps. Sure. It's fine. It's like, 大丈夫, 大丈夫. No. It's sarcasm. If anything, this is very suspicious. But it just comes off as weird and foreboding when you put it in all caps, like creepypasta something. Letting my voiceless emotions explode, I slammed the table hard. By the way, I tried having a Japanese conversation on my phone with ChatGPT today. Like, on voice. For like 2 minutes before I decided this is really embarrassing, and I stopped. There we go, that's my entire story. The 2 witches didn't flinch at all. One grinned. The other looked indifferent, as though nothing had happened. The 2 of them just stared at me silently. As though they were reproaching me. What's this? Not satisfied? Are you saying you'll step down from my 5th game? Isn't that a loss by default? Battler won't step down. Of course he'll participate in the 5th game. Don't just decide that yourself. I'm not gonna play along with you two. I don't give a shit. Then it really is a loss by default, right? But which side wins this game? Is it really okay to end this with the humans surrendering? If you step down, the game will end with your loss by default. Get it? If you want to guarantee that your lonely sister always meets with miserable circumstances in an endless number of worlds, that option is indeed open to you. I was gonna try to talk to it about video games. But like, you know how ChatGPT is. It's so like corny and weird with how it talks. So I didn't really want to have a conversation with it about Minecraft. I don't know. But it might be good conversation practice. Like, it does a good job talking naturally. It's, you know, the whole large language model thing means that's what it's really good at, language. So it's cool. Gotta use that premium subscription for something. When Baron Castell mentioned Angie, Battler's expression changed instantly. You bastard. Don't you dare talk about Angie so lightly. You know, it's okay to translate Kisama as bitch. It's fine to do that. It doesn't have to be bastard. Sometimes you don't even have to translate the word at all. You can just have the character sound really angry. Because you have a friend in me, Prince Castell, the Witch of Miracles, there exists the possibility of a miracle in which Angie's family comes home to her. Well, if you do throw that chance away and guarantee that Angie's in those futures, all in sorrow, that might be pretty interesting too. I vaguely understood what she was saying. Until I win at Beato's game, I'll remain trapped in this bizarre world. And if I abandon that victory, then most certainly, my parents and I will never return to Angie. For Angie's sake, even though I knew that the witches are toying with me, I must keep on fighting. Damn it. What's wrong? You look unsatisfied. Have you already forgotten how angry you were when your sister was turned to mincemeat? You know, that spectacle where she was torn to bits, ripped to pieces by countless red-hot pliers. You know, that time you cried and wailed a lot. You'd better watch more closely next time, okay? It was your fault. Here, let me show it to you in a flashback. Bernkestel pointed the palm of her right hand upwards. As she did, a pale light gathered there, and some kind of blue glowing crystal appeared there. A scene was reflected on its sharp surface, but it wasn't the scene that surrounded them now. If you look deep into that crystal, that fragment, then you would probably learn what was reflected on there. That's mean, Bernkestel. If you stared at it, then you'd surely see the end Angie finally reached, after waiting 12 years and giving up everything for the sake of her beloved brother. The scene of her death throes, as her entire body was torn to bits while she still lived. Damn you. Without thinking, he grabbed at her collar, but as soon as he touched that, which made up her form, it disappeared like foam on the waves. Then, as naturally as though she'd been there from the beginning, Bernkestel was leaning against a distant wall. Oh, I think this is the first time we've seen this face from Bernkestel. If you step down from the game, this will become not just a fragment, but a definite reality. I won't be the one to create that future. You'll do it yourself. Set aside, okay? Figure out what you want to do with your beloved little sister's future. Balor's fist shook with anger, but even if he swung them down, he wouldn't be able to hit Bernkestel. This witch was like a phantom, or a cat who would even let someone pet her if she didn't wish for it. And she was telling the truth. For Angie's sake, I can't step down from this fight, even if these unpleasant witches hijack the game board. Yeah, that's just like you, Bern. You're even heartless when you threaten people. That's how it is, Battler. You aren't allowed to step down from the game board. You and Beato are nothing more than pieces on the board that exist to distract us from our boredom. Even your incomprehensible anger and irritation make for a wonderful treat to satisfy us. Well, what you're doing now only makes for a cheap snack, though. Like those curry-flavored potato wafers that sell for 30 yen a pair. You damn witches. Fight for Angie's sake, okay? And for Beato's too, right? In a way that was admonishing, or perhaps babying, like the headache you get after eating something too sweet, Brinka still tormented Battler and smiled. By now, the host of this tea party, Beato, was absent. The guest witches were already making themselves at home. What'll you do, Ushidomiro Battler? Will you surrender to fate? Just step down. You've had enough of being toyed with as a witch's piece, right? Aw, come on. You really just could use reverse psychology on this guy? Yeah, sure is tough being one of Burn's pieces. I'm sure she'll use you and throw you away just like she did with Angie. I'm not giving you the option of stepping down. Keep fighting for the sake of your sister's future. They're actually just doing the whole good cop, bad cop thing. Good witch, bad witch. I'm your ally. Not with that face, you're not. Until you win, I'll support you so you can reach that future. For eternity, until I get bored. Forever, until I get bored. I think Battler's probably better. I don't think Phoenix Wright ever did something quite on the level of Small Bombs. And whenever he did, like a lot of the time when Phoenix Wright like proves a point, it just ends up making a situation worse. Like, he just points out contradictions no matter what they actually mean. And he'll often spend like 5 minutes arguing something, and then everyone will agree like, yeah, you're right, that is really suspicious, Mr. Wright. However, this puts the defendant in a worse position. He's like, damn. Every time. You get to see the, like, head in hands pose so many times in Phoenix Wright. It's essentially the same as... Let's see here. Honestly, it is the equivalent of El Clasico here. I can't let her provocation and cajolery rile me up. These witches know I get mad easily, and they're trying to take advantage of that. Battler withstood it all, and finally relaxed his clenched fists. If you want to start this 5th game of yours, go ahead and do it. Do whatever you want. And he's like, I have respect for Phoenix Wright and all that. And of course I love the games as well, but like, he gets a lot of like, just free help in most of the cases. There's so many times where like, he's totally screwed. Someone barges into the courthouse, or just a ghost appears next to him, or suddenly someone channels something or whatever. A lot of his wins aren't really his doing. Battler's gotten some help too, granted. But yeah, I don't care. I like Battler more. Shut up. Yes, I will do whatever I want. Hey, where are you going? Even though Battler acknowledged this 5th game, he turns back on them, much to Linda Delta's surprise. If you're gonna be Beato's substitute, then I'm sure that Burn Castell Witch over there can stand in for me if she wants. Not a bad idea. Better than a loss by default. What the heck? Are you gonna just ignore this episode 5 that I put so much effort into making? Rude, rude! Battler says he's going to take a break for a while. This truly is Umineko episode 5. Until he comes back, I'll be his substitute. How's that sound, Battler? You do that. What's wrong, Lambda? So you refuse to play Fizz against me instead of that fool Battler? Of course not. I'm glad I get to play with you, Burn. Come on, let's play, let's play. Let's play together and live the Delta Summer's super hype on. Cute, though, episode 5. This technically is a world Beato created. You aren't going to ruin the atmosphere of the story, are you? Don't worry about that. I'm really good at reading between the lines for that sort of stuff. I made sure to use a Beato-ish atmosphere to make a tale that's even more interesting. I would like that. Battler, make sure you come back as soon as your break's over, okay? It'd be a shame to miss this. I've set up plenty of bonus hints that'll get you closer to Beato's secrets. Or at least that's what it'll look like when it's actually filled with misdirection that makes stuff more and more confusing. Wait, hey, Battler, why aren't you listening when a witch is talking? Without answering, Battler disappeared into the darkness. After shrugging and cackling, the witches immediately started playing with the game board they installed from Beato. Opening? Nope. Sooner or later. Can those witches really understand Beato's game? Since they're using the same game board, they cannot do anything that this child cannot do. However, they can do things that this child wouldn't do. What do you mean, things she wouldn't do? The materials of chess exist so that you can play chess. You cannot use them to play cards. However, when it comes to throwing chess pieces at your opponent and scribbling on the board, such things are not impossible to do. However, that would be blasphemy against the rules of chess, against the game of chess. So people choose not to do that. That definitely wouldn't be chess anymore. Beato's eyes seem to cloud slightly with sadness. Damn them. This game's between me and Beato. I won't let anyone else defile it. At that time, gold butterflies gathered and Runaway appeared, holding a tea set with black tea. Would you like some more tea? If you wouldn't mind. Certainly. So, how goes this journey of yours in search of my lady's thoughts? I don't have a clue, but I'm enjoying it. However, are you sure about this? Is it truly alright for you to relax here? In that game, those witches just started all by themselves? Indeed. Just now, when I went to serve them some tea, the murders of the first Twilight had already taken place, and it seemed as though the next murder would occur shortly. When Beato and I were playing, the game would be paused whenever someone left their seats. However, those witches wouldn't pause that game just because I wasn't around. Runabe, did you see their game? Just a part of it. How was it? Runabe looked at the pot high with an elegant gesture as he poured the black tea. After finishing that, he finally spoke. He gave us his impressions of it. It did not have love. What do you mean, love? My apologies. That is how a woman might put it. As a man, one might call it dishonorable. I understood what those words meant. When I met Virgilia's eyes, she shook her head slightly and stared at the floor. I believe it resembles my lady's games greatly, on the surface. However, its foundation is quite different. Does it go against the rules of Beato's game? No, it does not. And the Delta Sama actually does understand the rules of my lady's game very well. However... Valor stood up. There was no need to make Runabe say any more. Valor could. Sorry, Runabe. I know you went to all the trouble of pouring this for me, but tea isn't what I need. So you will go after all? Yeah. We don't need any outsiders in our game. These guys weren't even here in the beginning. Because I've been loafing about, crazier and crazier witches have been introduced. And now they project this game between me and Beatrice. I've got to take it back. Right now, I'm supposed to be the one taking care of Beato's game board. That means I can't just sit around here. Thank you. I wanted to let this child hear those words. I'm sure she hears them. My lady is simply unable to answer. Beato lay there silently, like a living doll with dull eyes. The game board she had created herself had been hijacked by incomprehensible people, and was being turned into a mess. If I was designated to be her opponent, then Beato must have created this game for me. I've got to take it back. Wait here. I'll go and take it back. We still don't really know. We have no idea why Battler seems to be important. Totally in the dark there. Maybe someday we'll find out. Of course, Beato didn't respond in any way. That's right. If she can't respond, then I have to protect it in her place. I'll be right back. Yeah, it's because he has the nice Yakuza suit. Virgilia, Runabe, I'm counting on you two to look after this golden sleeping beauty. Yes, leave it to us. Draw on her face while she's sleeping. See you later, Battler Could. And please, in the game without this child, try to find some part of her. If you can, then even if this child is absent, it will mean that you have fought with her. You're right. It's all useless. What am I doing? Let's go. I'm pretty sure it's a zipper. It's like 100% a zipper, yeah. Which makes it, like, even cornier, probably. What a crazy outfit, really. Now that I look at it. Let's go, and let's take it back. Sorry to keep you waiting, witches. My break is over. When he faced the jet black heavens and yelled this, the whole world shattered, as though it were made out of thin glass. Look, we didn't get an anime out of this. You don't get to see any of these scenes. Bullshit, right? Come on. That's why episodes 5 through 8 are really special, and I wanted to show them off, because people don't know anything that happens in these. A lot of people didn't see the second half of Umineko, and it's pretty damn important. Then, as though it had been that way since the beginning, it transformed in that smoking room where Battler had fought Beato so many times, and which the two witches had now hijacked. What do you think you're doing? You're only coming back now? It's way too late. Yeah, to be fair, back when I first recall seeing Umineko on, like, image boards and stuff, I definitely took note of all the characters without pants. It's like, what is this? Like, what is this stupid fad that's going around lately with, like, this really bad art of, like, this one game? Like, who are these weird-looking characters? I hate these designs. Now one of those characters is actually one of my favorites. So, we'll get there. We'll get there. You never showed up, so I just advanced things on my own. Yeah, like you even waited for me in the first place. Bruno was way more skillful and thrilling than you were, right? Shut up. I'm the player. You substitute witches can just take a step back now. Well, I don't really mind if you join in starting now, but there's probably no need for you anymore. Seriously, after all, we're already at the climax. After this, Bern will probably corner me and win. What the hell? Nothing wrong with that, is there? Why don't we let him watch the final endgame? Of course. Come on over, Ushida Battler. It's almost completely over, but here's the cute and elegant game I made. Episode 5. End of the Golden Witch. You can't do the title drop 10 minutes in. Alright, this is probably the opening now. Oh. Okay, yeah, I'll save, sure. Yeah, alright. Oh, hold on. I gotta go back and look at that again in a second, actually. I wonder if that, like, had info about what's happened so far in the game so far that we missed. I gotta check. Maybe that's why it was showing me. I thought for sure they were gonna do the opening right after that. That would've been funny. Opening right after the title drop. So we're seeing our survivors. Okay, so let's see. What do we have? Yeah, we're actually just getting dropped into a game midway through. Jessica, dead. Her corpse was found. Okay, let's see. Does it say like which Twilight is which? Oh, it's so first Twilight's done. We have 6 deaths. So they were found in the cousin's room. Mostly. So Jessica, George, Maria, and Rosa were all found dead in the cousin's room on the 2nd floor of the guest house, with their necks slit. And anyone could tell they were dead. It's good, you don't even have to check her. Hideyoshi was in a guest room on the 1st floor of the mansion. Stake in his back. Pretty clearly not suicide. And Genji was in the servant waiting room on the 1st floor of the mansion. Also, neck slit. Okay. 5 out of 6 of them have their neck slit. Right now, no humans exist on this island except for those in this parlor. And with one exception, it has been shown that none of them have committed murder. With one exception? And the culprit is among these people. Whoa, whoa. That means it's conclusive, isn't it? Unless the culprit is a witch who committed murder with magic, that is. It was you? You killed George? Killed my husband? Why? Why? I didn't kill anyone. I didn't. In a panic, and with a voice that was far from calm, in a manner that was, to put it coldly, unsightly, Aunt Natsuhi denied the suspicion placed upon her. However, there was no longer any way around it. She stood up, brushed back her long hair. Here we go, pointed at Aunt Natsuhi and said it one more time. Take a deep breath, everyone. You're the culprit, Ushina Natsuhi-san. That's not Rika. Nah. That's legally distinct Rika. I don't know what we should call her. Riku. Oh, there we go. There's the other portrait. I can't show it off because it's in the corner. It's kind of hard to show off because I also have another one right here that I can't spoil quite yet. So just don't worry about it yet. But yeah, I have that exact Erica portrait. I said the name, damn it. I have the legally distinct Rika portrait. Let's keep an eye out for other potential characters and things of interest here. Natsuhi's getting some focus. Natsuhi deserves some bashing. She does, in my opinion. Just a little bit. I mean, the Umineko author has a lot of stuff I actually have not read. He has stuff outside the When They Cry series that I might have to visit sometime. And also, When They Cry has continued past Umineko now. There is a 3rd set of games called Seconia that I don't know much of anything about. I gather it's kind of like Umineko in space, I think. I'm not really sure. I'd love to maybe read Seconia next. Okay, she hasn't been added yet, but give us some time. Give us some time. Wait, why is everyone alive again here? Oh, okay, we're flashbacking, okay. Okay. It's Natsuhi, please open up. As she knocked loudly and repeatedly, Natsuhi yelled. Shortly after, there was a heavy clunking sound, and the sound of the door to Kinzo's study unlocking could be heard. As the door opened, a heavily sweet, venomous odor flowed out. Natsuhi was always ashamed of how she automatically grimaced at that, even though she thought it rude to the family head. Kraus was waiting for her inside the study. Natsuhi flew into his arms. Is father? Is he? Calm yourself. Dr. Nanjo is examining him now. With an uncertain gait, Natsuhi walked towards the center of the study, supported by Kraus. I don't know what the hell Saga of Tanya the Evil is. There, a dignified bed fitting for the Ishimura family head could be seen, along with Nanjo, Genji, and Kumasawa. Dr. Nanjo, is father? After sighing deeply, Nanjo left the side of the bed. On the bed, Kinzo could be seen lying down, asleep. He died peacefully. I don't think Kinzo-san had any regrets. Father. Goldsmith has left the server. Permanently banned. Reason: ran out of years. Dead. So, yep, as we know, Kinzo dies before the start of the game every time. This is the first time we've seen it. But you do need to consider that, like, in all the games we've seen so far, in all the episodes, there's gonna be some characters that know that. Like, at the very least, obviously, Natsuhi and Kraus are gonna know, because they live here. Genji is gonna know. Genji's always, like, with him. And it's not a surprise that, like, some of the other servants know. Nanjo knows. So, like, go back and recontextualize the other games. Every time someone mentions, like, oh, maybe Kinzo will come down, you know, let's go talk to Kinzo. Kinzo hasn't been feeling well lately. Kinzo has maybe a month or a year left to live. They're lying. Nanjo was lying the whole time. Natsuhi and Kraus were lying the whole time. Genji, probably Kumasawa here. Now, I'm not sure if this exact arrangement of people in here is always static through all the games, but you get the gist. You get the gist. There's a lot of deceitfulness going on there that you can kind of see going back. Sobbing, Natsuhi slumped over the chest of that man who had fallen into a sleep from which he would never awaken. Then IP bent. Madam, please, stay strong. Father, this is just too sudden. Natsuhi couldn't stop crying over the death of the man whom she had loved like a second father. Kumasawa rubbed Natsuhi's back, consoling her. I wonder if that update's already. Come on, update, he's dead. Kraus slumped into his late father's favorite chair. By sitting there, might have been immersed in memories of his departed father. Or perhaps he thought that by sitting there, he might be able to understand just a bit of the madness of Kinzo's later years, which he had never been able to comprehend before. Nanjo, just as he had when Kinzo once had sat in that chair contemplating a chess move, turned his back and looked down over the outside world through a crack in the curtains. If only he'd been sick in bed for a year or so first. I do wish he could have died after a grace period during which the proper arrangements could have been made. It's the other way around. We should be glad that he was in high spirits until the very end. At least that's true as far as public appearances are concerned. Nanjo understood that as well. Ushimi no Kinzo, who had risen like a comet and glittered like a supernova in the post-war business world, had died. His funeral would probably be of a fantastic scale, and it would also be the ceremony marking Kraus's inheritance of the headship. Well, see, here's the thing. We haven't really seen much canon Kinzo. To be fair, he might not be anything like what we've seen. We've seen him a couple times in flashbacks, if we're to believe those to be true. But, you know, every time we see Kinzo saying, like, I hate my children, my grandchildren are failures, they're not getting any of my inheritance, that might, you know, not actually be true. He was dead by the time we saw those scenes. So do try to cut the man some slack. We don't really know much about him. I mean, even him screaming Beatrice isn't necessarily canon, but I'll fight you that it is. Not with the logic, just with fists, really. He would have to arrange everything as the host of the event, carry out funeral diplomacy perfectly, and make clear to all that the Ushimura family still had enormous influence in the political and financial spheres. As Ninja watched Kraus, he was vividly reminded of the time when Kinzo had been suddenly selected as the Ushimura family head, and Kinzo had been lost and confused. In this way, he was able to understand Kraus's distress and sympathize with it. Natsuhi's sobs eventually subsided. Watching this and leaving Kumasawa to care for Natsuhi as a fellow woman, Genji returned to where Kraus was. And as though asking what should be done, Genji lowered his head slightly. Genji-san and I will deal with the formalities. Kraus-san, perhaps you should contact the relatives first. Kraus, with his hand still over his eyes, didn't respond. Perhaps even though he had known this day would come, Kraus really couldn't hide his shock at how suddenly it had reached them. Leave this to Dr. Nanjo and me. Kraus-sama, I suggest that you first speak with Madam. Maybe she heard that, or maybe it was a coincidence. As though responding to Genji's words, Natsuhi came over. Her eyes were red from crying so much, but she apparently understood the heavy responsibility that had been imposed on them even better than Kraus did. Starting now, you were the head of the glorious Ushimura family. Let us show everyone, inside and out, that you have splendidly succeeded your father. As your wife, I, Natsuhi, am prepared to serve you until the day our coffins are laid down alongside each other. Trying to encourage her husband, who was overcome with shock, Natsuhi lent him some reassuring words. When Kraus finally lowered the hands that had been covering his face, he looked up at the ceiling with a blank expression and let out a deep, deep sigh. Please, stay strong. There are a great many people who will plan to devour everything Father has left behind. We must fight to protect Father's honor and wealth. That is the first responsibility of the Ushimura family head. I understand. I do understand. Dr. Nato, Genji, please take care of the legal and funeral arrangements. Especially you, Genji. I ask that you take particular care and see to it that the funeral will be a fitting one for Father. Certainly. And Dr. Najo, Father didn't pass away in a hospital, so... Indeed, an autopsy might be required depending on circumstances. Can't you do something about that? Even though he's passed away, Father's body is precious. Any damage done to it would not be acceptable. I understand how you feel. However, it is also important to deal with these matters properly. And, I don't really know how to say this, but several of the relatives might make things difficult, yes? Who knew how those vultures after the inheritance might try to find fault with them? They might claim to have found some reason to suspect the cause of death, using that as a point of contention to start some trouble. Right now, it was important not only to pay Kinzo's remains the respect they were due, but also to solidify the position of the new family head, Kraus. Understood. Please keep it to an absolute minimum. Make sure that Father's dignity is not damaged, even by mistake. That will be fine. Do not worry. In any event, leave Kinzo-san to us and stay by Kraus-san's side. Things will start to get quite difficult from here on out. I understand. And you too, dear. Please stay strong. Kraus was still staring blankly at the ceiling with a befuddled expression on his face. She? Okay, so we're going back to Natsuhi's position. It's kinda weirdly written. She understood the shock and heavy responsibility he bore. Natsuhi understood her husband's feelings as much as anyone. I will contact the relatives. Please rest for the time being. Kraus didn't respond. Natsuhi, thinking him to be just a little bit unreliable at the moment, decided she must offer her support. Seeing her husband like this actually spurred Natsuhi to action, and a resolute expression rose to her face. Things will get busy from now on. Let's start by doing whatever we can right now. I'm sure my husband wants to have some time alone with Father. We should step out for a moment. Good point. After all, this will probably be the last time he gets that chance. Being in charge of a funeral is tiring work. There's no time to shed tears. If Kraus were ever to be given time to cry for his dead father, that time would have to be now. Everyone agreed with Kumasawa's words. Even so, Kraus continued to blankly gaze up at the ceiling and didn't respond in any way. Natsuhi urged the servants to go. I'll go talk to Jessica too. That child is now the successor to the headship. I'll make sure to tell her to be fully prepared. Wait. As they each started to make their way to the study, Kraus finally spoke. They stopped walking. Yes? Wait. Yes? Wait. Yes? Hadn't she already stopped walking, just like her husband had asked? But despite that, he told her once again to wait. From those slightly weak words, Nancy understood that he'd probably stopped her because he wanted her to be by his side. The rest of you, downstairs. I will stay with my husband. Please call us on the phone if anything happens. Certainly. I thought I told you to wait. When Kraus suddenly raised his voice, everyone jumped and turned around. Unable to comprehend what she had done to spark her husband's wrath, Natsuhi ran up to him. What's wrong, dear? Have I said something rude? If so, please forgive me. No, that's not it. That's not it. Wait a second. Give me some time. Yes, I understand. It's important to sort things out inside your heart. We were just going to leave this place in silence to give you some time, okay? And I'm telling you to wait before doing that. Listen up. No one move. Not even an inch. If you're tired, then feel free to sit in whatever chair or sofa you want. So just stay quiet and don't talk. Don't do anything. Those unreasonable words felt like a glimpse of how Kinzo used to be. Natsuhi couldn't hide her slight surprise at this behavior, which almost made it seem as though Kinzo had possessed her husband. Natsuhi told the servants to wait for the time being. She ordered them to sit on a sofa a short distance off, approached her husband, and spoke to him in a small voice. If you order it, I will wait however long you ask. I won't move. So please, try and calm yourself. No, that's not it. That's not it. Was it really blood, or was he really being possessed? Krause's disorderly style of speech strongly resembled Kinzo's. As she watched this, Natsuhi became certain that Krause was Kinzo's son after all, and that he was the true successor, more suitable than any other person. Natsuhi, come here. Krause stood up and headed towards the window, trying to lengthen the distance between himself and the servants waiting on the sofa by even a small amount. Natsuhi realized that he must have something secret to discuss. After the scene will be a good time to go make some coffee. Yes, dear. What is it? Father dying is bad. Wrap up here. We're ready for episode 6. People die when they die, and that's bad. But he has already passed away. We cannot turn back time. That's not it. It's bad that it happened now. What do you mean? I've been putting Father's fortune up as collateral. I'll be able to hide it when the division of the inheritance comes into question. But what? Collateral, you say? How much? Why is this playing Happy Mario? Remember how I helped out Kondo-kun back in Melodyland? Didn't I tell you to break ties with that person? I thought you said you'd refused him. Why? There's such a thing as a man's honor. I couldn't refuse. I lost all the money, Natsuhi. Krause claimed to hold honor as a virtue. However, Natsuhi knew that he most often used this as an excuse for when he reluctantly went along with some deal that he just couldn't refuse. All of them needed money really badly, right now. That wouldn't be a problem if we had plenty of money on hand. But didn't you borrow quite a lot of money for the plan to turn this island into a resort? Yeah, I did. You know, you guys are shouting and the servants are like 10 feet away. And there were people here and there who lent me a hand along the way. If I'm going to repay them, I can't just sit around in my hands. You need money to repay people. You need money to make money. You can't even get started without money. And even the plan for this island would be proceeding smoothly if only there had been problems with the planning company. I made contact with a government official in the city. I even got the governor's word that this would become the newest travel destination in the Tokyo metropolis. The groundwork I laid was completely perfect. Random chance and bad timing were against me. It was my teammates' fault. It was just a bit of bad luck. Like a traffic accident. That was no accident. It was fraud. You were tricked. They were never drawing up plans for turning this island into a resort in the first place. That's not true. Hijikata-kun's vision was simply overflowing with foresight. The way his eyes always focused on the whole world and the future taught me that things I always believed to be mere dreams were only the tip of the iceberg of what is possible. Expand your dreams to the whole world, to the future. You heard him say that too, right? Yes, I heard. And I think I remember telling you what I thought after we returned home. I said that he was suspicious, that he only spoke of dreams and didn't have his feet planted on the ground, and that you must not have any further relations with him. I fucked him, Natsuhi. Hijikata-kun is a wonderful, pleasant young man. One could learn a lot from the way he lives. I can respect him despite his youth. I won't have you insulting him. That's what you said about the whole moon tourism thing. You kept saying it was visionary, that it looked to the future, that it had high aspirations, and what was the end result? Eventually, you yourself admitted that it was utter nonsense, right? I was sure something was wrong ever since that strange man showed up claiming to be a high-ranking NASA official. That foreigner was nothing more than an international swindler. Both Mr. Sonozaki and I... rather, not Sonozaki, that would be Higurashi. Mr. Sonezaki and I were victims in that case. Right now, his vision isn't mistaken. Imagine a universe where Krause buys Twitter. In the future, there will surely come a time when the richest people in the world develop a liking for space travel. and the very first enterprise in that area will probably be monopolized by a single private company. That viewpoint is not mistaken. There was simply a group of international swindlers who were trying to take advantage of that fact and deceive investors across the world. And I'm trying to tell you that this Sonizaki man was one of them too. Just how gullible are you? Why do you always accept these suspicious offers without any doubts? Take that back. Mr. Sonizaki is a man with a brilliant future ahead of him. There's nothing suspicious about him. Because the dreams he speaks of anticipate the future, they sound crazy to people who can't see into the future. A woman like you can't see into the future. Yes, a woman like me can't see into the future, but I can see the present. Right in front of me, I can see a pitiful husband who's been taken in by sly, double-crossing swindlers and still trust them implicitly even after he's been tricked. Shut your mouth. You don't understand anything about money or business or economics. Don't try to butt in on your husband's job. A wife should be satisfied with doing housework. Keep your mouth shut. Without another word, Natsuhi fell silent, just as Kraus had hoped she would. She was already far beyond anger and sadness, and the emotion that lay on the other side of those was an almost indifferent pity. Kraus, who had been in awe of Kinzo since he was very young, had started to subconsciously admire the way his father lived. Without realizing it, he had come to believe that he could only be recognized as a man in his own right if he surpassed his father. However, Kinzo had been a mad genius, the likes of which had never been seen in the Ushimita family's long history. I think Kinzo just got really lucky. That talent was a gift from heaven, and it definitely wasn't genetic, much less something that could be learned, because it was luck. To give the two of them a chance to talk alone, Natsuhi told the servants not to tell anyone about Kinzo's death, and they left the room for the time being. Talk alone, huh? I think you mean shout alone. Then she invited Kraus to her bedroom. Okay, hold on. I gotta censor this next scene. And made him tell her everything about their current financial situation. Oh, thank God. These were things that Natsuhi had been told about, under the assumption that a woman had no business knowing. Natsuhi had herself made a point of avoiding this area in the past, thinking that it wasn't a wife's place to intrude on such matters. However, this might have also meant that she had abandoned her duty as a wife to protect her family. Sorry, I've tricked you. I actually just wanted to talk about Skyrim for 3 hours. Locks the door. The depths of this sin had been made quite clear to Natsuhi. Kraus was probably tired of trying to defend himself. Perhaps because he had gotten a headache, he hid his face and sank into silence. Natsuhi noticed that the water in the electric kettle was boiling and started to refill her cup with black tea. When she touched the cup of black tea, she noticed it for the first time. The sound of the cup and saucers clinking together told her that her fingers were shaking. Kraus had built up a large debt to obtain funds for his various projects, and to cover the losses when they failed. Of course, he had put up the mansion and property as collateral. However, doing such a thing above board would result in the mortgage being registered. In other words, there would be a record that Kraus had put Kinzo's wealth up as collateral to obtain a loan without anyone's permission. Kinzo, Ava, and the others must not learn of such a thing. Well, you've already got one of those taken care of. Now just kill the other siblings. Therefore, Kraus had been putting those assets up as collateral using the worst possible method. I signed over the deeds and power of attorney. And what does that mean? What Kraus was saying probably meant that he had, in essence, signed away the rights to his assets. If these assets had been used as collateral for a loan, then Kraus would still have some leeway under the law. He would have to deal with a bank, which would have absolutely no compassion, but they would be able to work something out within the rules set by society. However, signing away the deed and power of attorney was a whole different story. In other words, even the mansion they were living in, if the person holding the deed were to decide to ignore his agreement with Kraus and sell the mansion to a third party right this moment, they would have no recourse whatsoever. Far from using collateral for a loan, this was basically the same as selling their house to borrow money. Oof. In other words, the moneylenders have the power to make or break the Ushimita family as they please. If they were to suddenly sell our house on some slight whim, we'd have to pack our bags and leave right now, wouldn't we? That is technically true. However, everyone I have had dealings with is very reputable. Keep telling your wife that. I don't think she's gonna believe you. This isn't consumer financing. It's a transaction based on trust between economically literate men. I trust them, and they in turn trust that by lending me money. I will achieve great success in business and give them massive returns on their investment. I signed over the power of attorney as a sign of good faith, and said that they wouldn't have to doubt in the certain success of my business. What happens if I hesitate now? Would that mean even I have no confidence in my own business? If you were such a successful businessman, we wouldn't be in debt now, would we? Natsuhi only barely stopped herself from saying that. Father is dead. What happens next? Will your debt be exposed to the light of day? And will your siblings hold you responsible? That won't be all. It'll probably lead to criminal charges. Criminal charges? Why's that? It's better if you don't know. Anyway, this must not be learned by anyone. Kras looked at the floor shamefully, shaking his head over and over. If it would come to criminal charges, then he must have broken some laws. He's probably been so intent on raising a large sum of money that nothing had mattered to him but survival. Kras had seriously believed that he would succeed with several businesses, and that he would definitely gain huge profits. So he had figured that even if he had stepped over a few legal lines, he would be able to pay everything back before too long and pretend that the whole thing had never happened. This may have been the factor that lessened his resistance towards breaking a couple laws. And now, Kinzo's death, the worst possible thing, had occurred. And they wouldn't be able to keep it all hidden for long. What will happen to us? There's no need to worry. You may not believe it, but conditions are most certainly on the rise now. The value of the city real estate I invested in will rise rapidly. Right now, I'm working on a project to integrate those and construct a massive business tower. This will be the most reliable of all my investments so far and will prove to be the most successful. However, it'll take a little more time for that to bear fruit. It's absolutely certain, but that doesn't mean it'll happen now. Will the success of that venture be enough to pay back our debts? Of course it will. It'll be able to wipe out all the debt I've accumulated so far. So have faith in me. I only need a little more time. Father's already dead. We don't have that kind of time anymore, do we? I know that. That's why I have to obtain money from somewhere and pay those debts off right now. Anyway, I need money. Money, a lot of it, right now. As Kras roared and clutched at his head, he writhed about as if in pain. As she watched, several emotions swirled about Natsuhi's chest. Kras is gonna start an OnlyFans. Imagine if he inherited the polydactyly from Kinzo. He could sell 6-toed feet pics. Would that like sell well as a gimmick? Asking for a friend. Her emotions conflicted as she felt pity for her husband while also feeling that he was a fool. And she felt a mixture of resentment and regret towards her own irresponsibility in letting her husband run wild for so long. Even if this day hadn't come, it should have been clear that they were in a very critical situation. And yet, he had carelessly waited for this moment to come, and was now writhing about. Her husband was so foolish and so pitiful. It would be easy to let herself get fed up with this. However, she was his wife. For a wife, ridiculing her husband as a fool would have brought into conflict with her responsibilities. If he was a fool, then she would have to support him enough to compensate. I mean, no matter what Natsuhi's done or what she's gonna do, at least give her the fact that she's not just going for divorce or something. She's sticking it out. So that, I guess, means that there's some legitimate love there. However, she didn't have a clue what she would do. Since there had been such a massive amount of money within arm's reach, it was only natural that Kras would try to dip his hands into it. It would also be easy to tell him to be a man and give up on all of it, but that would also run in conflict with her responsibilities. She was Umineko Natsuhi, the woman who had become Kras's wife and sworn to support him, the new head of the Umineko family for her whole life. She had to somehow help her husband in his efforts to raise money. She understood it logically, but she couldn't suppress the indescribable dejection that seemed to rise up from the dark depths of her heart. That's right, but Father said in gold. 10 tons of gold is worth 20 billion yen. If I had that... That's right. If I had that, all our problems would be solved. Natsuhi, that's it. The witch's epitaph. Natsuhi, that's it. We need to buy a really big metal detector. That's right for the gold. Let's solve that. Let's solve it together. We'll just strip mine the whole island. We need materials to build the theme park anyway. We need cobblestone, damn it. We're gonna find the gold. It's gonna be a big Greg Tech vein. And we're gonna set up mechanism or quintupling for it for maximum profits. It'll be the perfect plan. That's right. It must be hidden somewhere on this island. If we had that. That hurts, dear. Please stop it. Kraus, acting as excited as if he thought up a perfect brilliant plan, grasped Natsuhi's upper arms tightly. Natsuhi couldn't help but be dumbfounded. She wasn't just taken aback because she'd heard him bring up something as fake-sounding as the hidden gold. This was Kraus, who usually mocked the story of the hidden gold, saying that it didn't exist and that it was all an illusion his father had created to borrow a lot of money. Well, I mean, literally the scene before, Kraus showed Natsuhi a bar gold, so seems like it exists. Plus we've seen Ava discover it. That was why Natsuhi was doubly taken aback. Yes, let's have Jessica help us too. Maybe some things can only be solved with a child's sensitivity. I don't know, I mean, it depends on... I don't think Kinzo hired a child to write the epitaph, and I'm not sure Kinzo, or whoever he hired, would have a child's sensitivity. This is a family crisis. All of us have to stick together. Yes, it's a fanciful riddle that Father created. We should be able to solve it, and there's no reason we wouldn't be able to solve it. It's the only way. Oh, Natsuhi, this is wonderful. We still have an option left, and right here next to us, I can't wait for him to put on the dress. Put on the Beatrice dress. Find the gold, Kraus. The gold is on this island. If we had it, every one of our problems would be solved. Wahaha. Natsuhi, call Jessica here right away. Let's overcome this family crisis together. I think you need to calm down a little bit first. Maybe do this on the weekend. Yes, right now. Let's see. Well, I mean, I don't want to do that on stream because what if it spoilers something? But I think it's good at that kind of thing. Just as a test a couple days ago, I used ChatGPT 01 preview, which apparently has advanced reasoning, and I had it like write out most of the solution to episode 1, and I only super quickly skimmed it, but it looked like it was correct, I think. Of course, like, ChatGPT Premium, like, Googles a lot of stuff and, like, compiles it for you. It does a good job at that. But you can't read it because... spoilers. I can't show you. Just, got some words in here that we're not gonna hear for a while. Okay. The gold is on this island. It's right beside us. Wow. If you just dig down, you might fall into a cave and find it. Unable to withstand the pain in the arm he was twisting in his excitement, Natsuhi knocked Kraus aside. Kraus tripped over the edge of the bed and flopped over onto the floor. But please get a hold of yourself, and please calm down. Do you really think that this Ushida family crisis could be solved by something as dreamlike as that? Natsuhi, please cool your head and think of a realistic plan to gather money. I'm going to go cool my head as well. But wait, Natsuhi! Maybe he had come to his senses the instant he fell over. Kraus tried to tell Natsuhi to stop, but she just kept walking. After closing the door forcefully, Natsuhi dashed away. Natsuhi ran through the corridor. I kind of forgot that episode 5 had a lot more Natsuhi focus. Even though she didn't want anyone to see her like this, she ran headlong into Genji. I was thinking about it, like, out of the relatives, I should say, like, Kinzo's kids and his, like, and their partners, the ones we've had, like, the least focus on. I mean, we've had, like, a scene with Kirie that was pretty good, but we haven't gotten, like, a big focus on her. Or, yeah, I know it is real. I know, it's been a while, okay? We haven't gotten too much focus on Batware's parents, relatively speaking. Hideyoshi's never got much focus so far. My deepest apologies. Adam, have you been injured? I'm fine. Leave me alone. Certainly. Oh, Genji, how are things going in Father's study? It is just as you left it, although Dr. Nanjo is in the parlor. Is that so? Do you have the key to the study? Yes, right here. Give it to me. Let me have some time alone with Father. If my husband asks where I am, tell him you don't know. Certainly. After grabbing the key to the study that Genji was holding out to her, Natsuhi rushed up the stairs. She then flew into the study, finally let out a wail, and cried. Is he dead in here? He's still alive in here, funny enough. Father, please forgive our foolishness. My husband and I aren't capable of inheriting all that you created. Please, please, forgive us for our foolishness and our crimes. And if you can forgive us, please guide the way for us fools. Clinging to Kinzo as he slept in the bed, Natsuhi cried even harder. She kept imagining Kinzo sitting up suddenly and patting her head. No, Father isn't the type of person to pamper. More likely, he'd yell at me to stop being so noisy. However, neither of these imaginations came true. Is that Nancy to be calling him father? No. I'm pretty sure it's normal. Pretty sure she always does. Because it was an undeniable fact that Kinzo had entered an eternal sleep. But even so, Natsuhi begged the sleeping Kinzo to forgive and help them. It was still only a few hours after his passing. Perhaps his soul was still here, listening to her. Believing this, Natsuhi... Natsuhi's father? No, because, I didn't really get along with Natsuhi's parents much at all. They never really seemed to accept me, so, no. And even like, well, sorry, I should clarify, her parents were split, but like, her biological father never got along that well with, nor her stepmother. I liked her birth mother, she was good, but I definitely never called her mom, I was too old for that. I don't know, I guess this is just different. That, and I assume they've been married for quite a long time now, like, you know, assuming they got married for Jessica, they've probably been married like 20 years. Pretty good. That's twice what I had. You can think about it, like, living with this person every day is very different from, like, seeing them just on holidays or something as well. Like, I guess it hasn't been said, we don't really know for sure. I'm not sure offhand, like, maybe they had dinner with Kinzo every day, you know? As I work in Japanese culture, I don't really know, honestly. It probably depends on the person. I mean, Valor doesn't call Kirie mom, he calls her Kirie. Out of, you know, just that's how he is. He refuses to. Because he's still attached to his real mother. Who to decide? Haven't I always said that I hold silence as a virtue? I picked a good time to pause and read chat. Huh? That voice made Natsuhi jump up in surprise. Lord Goldsmith. When she faced the direction that the voice had come from, she saw Kinzo sitting at the study desk, holding up his reading glasses. He rebooted his router. Did you get in a fight with Kraus again? Neglecting his wife like that. That Kraus only inherited my bad traits. Father. What a wretched looking face. Wash it. Aren't you the wife of the successor of the Ushimura family? You mustn't let the servants see you wear such a shameful expression. Yes, father. My apologies. Natsuhi understood. This was just an illusion, or that Natsuhi had created out of a desire to speak with the memory of Kinzo as he once was. Not the first time we've seen this happen. No, that wasn't it. She believed that just for now, Kinzo's soul had shown itself to her. She was sure that doubting this would cause it to vanish in an instant. It seems that at the instant the family headship was passed on, the family has reached a crisis. Yes, father. I wasn't able to support my husband. I'm truly very sorry. The Ushimura family is so very cursed. It was in a terrible state when I succeeded the headship too. That makes your suffering seem almost cute in comparison. Kinzo's succession to the family headship had come suddenly. At the time, he had been nothing more than a single young man from a branch family, far separated from the Ushimura main family. The main family might have had honor and tradition, but Kinzo had had nothing to do with that. Then, the principal members of the main family were wiped out in the Great Kanto earthquake owing to their businesses. On top of that, there had been a complicated antagonism between the members of the family at the time, and the elders had all tried to impose their will on the others in that sinking ship. Because of this, they weren't even able to elect a leader to revive the Ushimura family. They then found a common ground and selected Kinzo, a youth with absolutely no ties to any of the opposing elders, to be the head, and just because he had extra toes. So the elders hadn't really entrusted Kinzo with the rebuilding of the Ushimura family. Kinzo had been nothing more than their puppet, with his arms and legs pulled in opposite directions. Almost more like he was elected to, like, take responsibility for, like, the upcoming family collapse or something, but he'd turned it around due to chance. Yes, I know a lot about your days of suffering, father. And then the war started. At the time, I was already tired of life. I hoped I would die in the battlefield, but I wasn't sent to the front lines. However, the state of the war grew worse with every day, and the time for the decisive battle on the Japanese mainland seemed to grow ever closer. As terrible as it may sound, I prayed for that day to come quickly. After listening to the approaching footsteps of that Reaper day in and day out, it is said that Kinzo started cutting his ties with this world one by one. And then, on that day when he had severed all his regrets, when he had reached a state of enlightenment. It is said that he had a mystical experience. Is that what we're calling it? It is said that he met her. The Golden Witch, Beatrice. I made a contract with the witch and was given the power of golden madness. On that day, the old me died, and a new me possessing the insane power of magic was born. I'll check real quick. I don't know my history very well. I always forget history things. 2. World War II vet. Kinzo was in World War II. Is Kinzo playable in the fighting game? Let me see. Hold on a sec here. I don't think, yeah, I didn't think he was. So far, out of the characters you've seen, these are the ones that are playable. Rosa, Angie, Battler, Beatrice, what were the 7 stakes? I'm not sure which one this is. Virgilia, Cannon, Shannon, Ava Beatrice, the blue-haired Chiesa sister, yeah, Lucifer, yeah, I think that's right, yeah. Runaway, Lambda Delta, Jessica, George, Brent Castell, and mystery blue-haired girl that we haven't properly met yet. Yes, legally distinct Rika. And then there's another 3 characters that I cannot talk about that are also playable. Do not, under any circumstances, go look at the Umineko fighting game. You don't see some of these characters until really close to the end of the story. So, yeah. Just trust me. I know. I would never spoil myself like that, Natsuhi. Wait, sorry, that's Natsuhi talking. I know, I would never spoil myself like that, father. And after the war, you used your ingenious cunning to revive the Ishimura family. Let's see. I'll message them to you, real. There. I sent you the names. We haven't met them yet. Makes sense, right? The now deceased elders who knew Kinzo at the time had whispered to each other that Kinzo must have bumped his head on the battlefield and returned with a different personality. That was how much Kinzo had stood out after the war. Whether the story about Kinzo meeting a witch was true or not, there could be no doubt that the extraordinary experience of war had prepared him for death and let him reach a state of enlightenment. If you wanted to describe the mystical experience following all that as a meeting with a witch, that claim certainly shouldn't be dismissed out of hand. Real, don't abbreviate that character's name like that. Don't make this sound like Five Nights at Freddy's. You can't do that. I don't want to hear that again. That's right. You returned from the war, conquered the witch Beatrice. That's one way to put it. And became the head of the Ishimura family in the true sense. You just borrowed money from her. Correct. Before I met Beatrice, I was nothing more than a puppet, only the head and name. I only became the head after conquering the Golden Witch. Father, will this Golden Witch aid my husband Kraus? Now that he's the new head? Oh, she'll do anything but. Oh, she will. Assuming that he has truly succeeded the headship. But what do you mean by truly succeeded? He has solved the epitaph, right? I mean, it depends on whether he bears the responsibility and pride of the Ishimura family head in the true sense. Natsuhi, you should understand this. The headship is not inherited by blood. It is inherited through spirit and conviction, and by solving my puzzle. Even though Kraus is my eldest son, he cannot be called a true head if he does not possess these things. And if that spirit were to dwell in a human, even someone other than Kraus, they would make a that's still him talking. They would make a splendid new head. Beatrice will lend her power to that true head. Isn't that right, Beatrice? When Kinzo called the witch's name, gold butterflies seethed. Is that really? Seethed out of every corner of the room. You mean seeped, maybe? Not seethed? Angry butterflies. This fantastical scene had an otherworldly beauty to it. It was like standing in the midst of a blizzard of golden flower petals being blown about a rose garden of gold. As Natsuhi stared at this scene in shock, the gold butterflies gathered and formed a human shape. Then, the witch of the portrait appeared. Indeed, I am the Ushimura family alchemist, the Golden Witch Beatrice. I am free to run rampant. I will send on no one's orders. She's gonna leave and go to Disneyland. And there's only one person in the world who can control her. Me. That is why I am qualified to be the Ushimura family head. So it's that pride of yours that qualifies you. Pride requires self-confidence and bravery, and it is the embodiment of the insatiable desire to gain power to match those traits. That is why I control you. Watching men who speak of pride turn those desires into reality can be quite pleasant. The quiet man of action is nothing more than an excuse used by the extremely lucky. A true monarch also speaks of what he doesn't have. By the way, is the like volume balance good? Like, can everyone hear the music well over my booming voice? Just want to make sure. And he makes that pride a reality without fail, because it looks like there's a pretty big difference, like, in the audio mixer, but I don't know. This is always tough. I never know whether to trust the audio mixer fully or not. Beatrice puts cat in the jukebox. If one is to control me, they must possess such a monarch's pride. Do you understand, Natsuhi? A true monarch fears no hardship. They declare that they will overcome anything without fail, even if they haven't yet figured out how. This gives hope to the weak. They gather, revere the monarch, and swear to assist him. This is where power is gained and his word is carried out. Engrave that into your heart. Yes, father. Natsuhi understood. Through this mystical experience, Kinzo was telling her how to prepare herself to overcome hardship, even after his own death. Feeling a warm sensation rise up in her chest, she let the valuable words Kinzo had given her echo throughout her mind over and over. A true monarch, in other words, the true head of the Ushimura family, must not fear hardship. Such a person must believe that they can overcome any hardship. If they can't even believe it about themselves, then they'll have no chance of overcoming their challenges. She suddenly felt very ashamed of the way she'd entered this room, sobbing and asking Kinzo what to do. I was foolish. Of course, there's no need for crying when an Ushimura family crisis is upon us. And now that we've inherited the Ushimura family from you, father, we must protect its honor no matter what. Oh, even though you can't draw a blueprint on how to repay Krause's debts? Beatrice laughed unpleasantly. No, that wasn't it. She was testing Natsuhi to see whether she possessed the mental readiness to be a true monarch. Natsuhi wasn't confused anymore. She answered clearly, gazing into Beatrice's eyes. Yes, at this moment, I have not yet discovered the method we should pursue. However, my husband is the new head of the Ushimura family, and I'm his supporting wife. So, I will proclaim it in my husband's place. Canon was dead. Let us hear it. Ushimura Krause and Natsuhi will definitely overcome these trials and protect the honor of the Ushimura family. You have nothing to worry about, father. Do you know the scope of Krause's debt, as well as the horrible state things are in? Yes. If the worst happens, and we are ordered to leave this mansion tomorrow, we won't be able to refuse. During the distribution of the inheritance, the relatives might even file a criminal complaint. However, there's no need to worry. We will repay all the debts before then and restore our honor. As she stood at attention with a resolute attitude, Natsuhi proclaimed this clearly with Ushimura Kinzo and Beatrice as witnesses. For a while, they remained silent as though weighing Natsuhi's resolve. Then Kinzo chuckled and turned away. How vexing. Why couldn't this person have been my son? The very fact that a woman with such a disposition married your son is another sign of your great luck. Beatrice, this is my final order. Shut up. Now that you are no longer the head, I'm not obligated to obey your orders. Oh, in that case, obey the orders of the new Ushimura family head. You're no longer the head, and Krause is not yet the head. Whom are you suggesting that I serve? I will leave that to you. It is up to you to decide who is qualified to succeed the Ushimura family head, and who is fitting to bear the mark of the one-winged eagle. You will ensure that it is so. I refuse. You didn't say, Simon says. I won't listen to the orders of a man who is the head. No, this is different. This is a will. The last order that the head left behind for you. Then it seems I will have to obey. After all, I can be quite accommodating. Liar. Oh? You're only doing this because it caught your interest, aren't you? I can't hide anything from you, can I? Natsuhi. Yes, father. Go and overcome your hardship. Yes. That might have seemed like a mere response to Natsuhi, but to Kinzo and Beatrice, it seemed to be something of much greater significance. Beatrice nodded deeply, and with emotion as elegant as her dress, she bowed deeply before Natsuhi. The Ushimura family alchemist, the Golden Witch Beatrice, is present. I shall give you my aid to assist the Ushimura family in overcoming another crisis. Just go break this mirror for me first. Thank you. I will need your power. We will most certainly overcome these trials. I will not hold back in my support for your cause, but there's something I must warn you about beforehand. I understand that your troubles now could be solved if I were to grant you a vast quantity of gold, like I did when I saved Kinzo from his crisis. However, that is something I cannot do. Is that so? Sorry, Natsuhi. Beatrice's gold came from a contract limited to my generation. There's a generation-only one bug. It was agreed that it could only be passed on to another if that person solves the witch's epitaph. The gold is sealed away by the epitaph. As long as that is not solved, you cannot be given the golden magic. I understand. Then I shall search for another method by which we can save ourselves from this crisis. My husband said his plan would take time, but he also said that it would surely be sufficient to repay our debts. If we can buy enough time for that to happen, we will be able to overcome this trial. Good, Natsuhi. Continue. But Kinzo is already dead. The doctor and servants are preparing his funeral. You have got to contact the family members. By your own hand, you will bring an end to this play for time. I'll claim how charming is the guillotine where you lower the blade yourself. Ah. Startled, Natsuhi looked at the ceiling. There wasn't actually anything there, but even so, Natsuhi had found something. So, the magical powers descended. Natsuhi, have you made up your mind? What magical miracles do you desire from me? Lie for me. We're gonna make a grand ruse. Okay, hold on. I need to put on a pot of coffee and grab a quick snack and use the bathroom, so I'll be maybe 3 or 5 minutes. Then I'll be back and I will continue. Quick time. I'm at it. Let's see here. I don't know how well you can see her in the background, but blue girl's right next to Sans there. That portrait. See, I told her she exists. I don't know if she's a witch. I won't say that, but she exists. Some form or another. Whoa. Okay. Alright. Let's get back to it. Really excited for episode 5. It's been a long time. I've never reread or really re-experienced the second half of the series. So, I'm very interested. Besides a certain analysis video talking about it. There's one 10-hour long analysis video of Umineko. Which tries to deny the canon explanation and say there's actually something else behind it. Might be fun to watch sometime. We'll see. Okay. Once again, all of those who had witnessed Kinzo's corpse were gathered in the study. Hi. Baby. Kraus was still impatient and clutching at his head. Genji was as expressionless as ever. Najo and Kurosawa wore bewildered expressions on their faces. But in stark contrast to all of them, Natsuhi wore a resolute expression. Dear, let me ask you one more time. Well, you know what I mean, the presented explanation. Your plan for raising money is absolutely certain? Yes. Give it a year. No, just half a year, and it'll certainly bear fruit. But it's just impossible to hope for anything right now. Then we will wait. But you said it yourself. Father's already dead. Father has not passed away. He's still there, as healthy as ever. When Natsuhi said this, everyone jumped and looked up, because they instantly understood what those words meant. However, Kraus alone didn't get it right away and asked her, "What do you mean by that? Father is already, in reality, right there." I like the fact that there's no 100% hard confirmation on you-know-what. I hear it's a lot more clear and crystal cut in the manga, but that's okay, I'm not in the manga, am I? I will say it again. Father is still in good health. He is busy with his research, so he'll be even less able to leave his study than usual. Because of this, we must handle all external affairs ourselves, so that Father can devote himself to his research without being burdened by meaningless tasks. In short, nothing will change from the way things have been. Do you understand, Genji? Yes. The furniture of the One-Winged Eagle will continue to serve the Master. Kurosawa, and you, Dr. Nanjo. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, is that truly alright, Natsuhi-san? It may be true that Father passed away today. But if everyone right here, right now believes, we can revive Father with magic. It's impossible, madam. That's just too much. The time of death will be made clear during the autopsy. We can't stop it from looking suspicious. Father will not pass away, so there will be no reason for there to be an autopsy. Of course, she wasn't planning to make it seem like Kinzo would live forever. The fake life given to Kinzo would only last until Kraus could repay his debts. After that, Kinzo's soul would finally be able to rest in peace. In other words, it will never rest in peace. Naja repeatedly said that the time of death would be discovered during the autopsy, but Natsuhi kept saying that this would be a problem. Father will not pass away by being reported dead. I see. He'll be reported missing. After clapping his hands together, Kraus stood up, shaking his fists. Yes. Once we manage to pay back the debt and finish our preparations for laying Father to rest, we will then announce that Father has disappeared. Kenjima's vast, uncultivated forest was the perfect place to stage a disappearance. If worst comes to worst, you have a nice boiler room. One day, Kinzo would go out for the forest for a walk and never return. They would search for him without success and then be forced to report his disappearance. If he disappears, we can file a report of his death even without a corpse. In other words, we can hide him long enough to have him declared legally dead. What do you think, Dr. Nanjo? There won't be any problems that way. Yes, that might work. You're implicating poor Nanjo in this. He didn't sign up for this. Is this really okay, madam? If we stay silent, then I'm sure we could keep the master's death a secret. However, if we were to slip up even once and let someone find out... Kurosawa, don't be so loud. Father is sleeping right over there, correct? Are you trying to wake him? Gotta get right into the roleplay. It isn't a corpse. Kinzo is sleeping. As Natsuhi said that, Kinzo lay quietly in the bed as though there was nothing at all odd about her words. And so, that's how magic works. You gotta believe. That's literally all there is to it. Oh. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? What sort of life did you enjoy? Once again, a straw of gold butterflies started to swirl, covering Kinzo's cold body. Then, after the butterflies exploded into fine gold powder and disappeared, just like those fairy tales that have been told over and over since long ago, Kinzo slowly opened his eyes and sat up. But father... Natsuhi, let me first make one thing clear. I did not coax you into doing this because of my attachment to life. You liar. Don't tell me you didn't anticipate this at least a little. How does it feel, Kinzo? How's your body? It isn't bad, but it feels somewhat like being in a dream. I feel light. You're a being that wasn't permitted to remain in this world, yet you still remain here. Don't start complaining about a little discomfort now. Is your body truly alright? Is it really okay? Now, you gotta picture this as like, Natsuhi is having a conversation with him, and like, every time she says something, she walks over behind Kinzo's body, props him up, and like, does like a little puppeteering thing with him. And everyone else in the room is just staring with like awe, and they're kind of scared, actually. Actually, it feels quite pleasant. If this is what the world after death feels like, playing the ghost might not be half bad. How is this, Natsuhi? Kinzo was revived. That means a funeral is unnecessary. Your hardship has been resolved. Beatrice. As Natsuhi tried to find words of gratitude amidst her confusion, Beatrice waggled her plantar finger and spoke. Pat her on my face. There's no need for thanks. A ruler is allowed to be proud. I will not pay heed to requests, but I will follow orders. Even so, I'll say it. Thank you. This way, you bought some time for my husband. We will handle the rest. Be warned, Natsuhi. Kinzo may have revived, but that is not an eternal thing. It will only continue as long as my magic does. Be warned that the magic-resisting toxin might destroy the magic. You must understand the laws of magic correctly to work hard to maintain it. I can show you a miracle, but it is your role to grasp it and hold it. I want to see what magic-resisting toxin is in Japanese. Hanma ho no dokuso. Okay, yeah, it's fair. It works. It's a good translation. Of course. We definitely won't neglect the miracle you have given us. Very well. Yes, it would appear masters need to be changed out every once in a while, just like formats. I like it. I shall serve you. Ushirimi Natsuhi. I am the Ushimura family alchemist, the Golden Witch Beatrice. Call my name whenever you wish. I shall appear and grant you a miracle. Thank you. I am Ushimura Natsuhi. I will employ you and protect the honor of the Ushimura family. Oh, what a good wholesome end to that scene. Everyone's gathered around the corpse pretending he's alive. It wasn't shown here, but do keep in mind as well that in past games we've also seen, I think, both Shannon and Cannon talking to him. I know we've seen Shannon. I think Cannon's been seen in the study talking to Kinzo too. So we just have to assume that at one point that they get let in on it. Goda, though, I don't believe so. I'm almost certain Goda does not. Goda, he doesn't wear the one-winged eagle. I guess technically I don't think Kurosawa does either, right? But I guess they decided to let her in on it anyway. I don't know. Not highly regarded, but she gets to know the secret, apparently. Maybe they just let the servants that happen to be working on this day know, I suppose. I don't really know. The rose garden was truly splendid this year. The roses were blooming like crazy, as if competing with each other. In that rose garden, Kinzo, Kana, and Natsuhi could be seen. Oh, here you go. Here's literally a scene where Kanan's present. Once again, the flowers have grown wonderfully this year. It must be the result of your care. Thank you very much. The weather just happened to be good this year. Thanks to your care, the garden is even more beautiful than usual. Good work. Thank you very much. If today weren't so special, we might have been able to admire the roses while enjoying some black tea. Kinzo shrugged. Today was the family conference. When it came to the other siblings' businesses, none of the news had been good. On the contrary, those siblings... Oh, the music really scared me for a second when it's cut out like that. Those siblings fully planned to turn the conversation to the topic of Kinzo's remaining life, and hold a quiet feud over the inheritance. Those people are quite unpleasant. By the way, what about Kraus? Is that debt repayment plan of his proceeding well? It does seem to be a realistic plan. However, it's a plan on quite a large scale, and it doesn't seem to be bearing fruit quite as well as he expected. We're not ready to fly to Mars yet. If possible, I would have hoped to have that resolved before today's family conference. Yes, my apologies. Are you sure you're okay, Kinzo? Casually walking around in a place like that? Ah, it's Beatrice. How'd you gotten up there? Well, it's fairly pointless to wonder about that sort of thing when you're dealing with a witch. Beatrice was casually sitting on the roof of the arbor, almost as though she had been basking in the sun. Those relatives are like a massive lump with a magic-resisting toxin, and they'll be intruding on us. If you bump into them, your soul will evaporate in an instant. I'm already dead. Evaporating would be no detriment. We can't have that happen. Please, for the sake of the issue in a family, lend us your strength just a little longer. He's still not updated here? Nope. I mean, after all, he's not dead, right? Clearly. Natsuhi, it seems the boat carrying the relatives has left the harbor. Perhaps it's about time to bring an end to this walk of yours. Is that so? Thank you. Please return to the study, Father. My. How tiresome to go back inside when the weather is this perfect. Don't grumble, Kinzo. Right now, you're nothing more than a ghost I gave life to. It'll be troublesome for both me and Natsuhi if you're scattered away by the toxin. Just be a good boy, shut yourself away in the study, and wrap it up a blanket around yourself or something. Merely receiving the chance to enjoy these roses after death makes me an extremely fortunate man. I understand. I shall return to the study. But I would like some black tea. Ken, tell Genji to bring me some. Perhaps some Marco Polo would do well today. You see, the servants have to keep up a whole ploy whenever there's anyone else here. And, even normally, because Jessica doesn't know about this, you know, they have to, like, bring him tea and stuff like that every once in a while. So, it's a lot of work. Certainly. Then let us go our separate ways. I don't know, must be some kind of drink, I assume. Marco Polo tea? It is a type of tea, yes. It is indeed a type of tea. There you go. Pretty expensive. Must be premium tea. Then let us go our separate ways, Natsuhi. You must conduct the family conference splendidly in my absence. Of course, Father. He can't say it in front of them, but my husband is already the Ushimita family head. And I will do all I can to ensure that I don't embarrass him as his wife. Team names are weird, but, like, alcohol names are even weirder. Compared to Kraus, who's had a stomachache since this morning, you are so very composed, Natsuhi. Oh, I bet we're debunk what? My son is quite hopeless. My husband is talented in his own way. Supporting him where he's weak in his duty. Where he's weak is my duty as his wife. What's giving you ads? It should only have ads when you refresh the page or like first pop into the stream. I don't run like ads during streams, but it makes you do one or the other. So I choose to do like one for non-subscribers when they first open it. Because at least that way, like if you're watching the whole time, it's only a single one. It's better than running them during the stream. Best I can do. Thanks, Twitch. Indeed. Carry out your task with precision. I'll make sure to stay shut away, so that I don't get in the way of this farce. If I could just turn off ads entirely, I would, but Twitch doesn't let you. Trust me, I don't make much off them. I think in all my time streaming, I've gotten one actual payout from Twitch. I think I've only ever once made it over the $50 threshold from, like, ads and subs. Takes a long time. Kennen, go with father to the study. And then have Genji prepare some black tea. I'm not so senile that I need your help to stand up. Here I go. Repeating Kennen's attempts to lend him a hand, Kenzo rose from the flower bed he had been sitting on. The retired head left everything in Natsuhi's hands and returned to the study at a gentle pace. You're looking well. You possess a sense of dignity reminiscent of Kinzo's deceased wife. On the off chance that the magic-resisting toxin does reach father, will the magic dissolve in an instant? Indeed. In the blink of an eye. I can vanish whenever I please, but if someone already dead such as Kinzo loses his form, he'll be instantly tossed away like dust by the winds of the sun. You must take care. Yes. I understand. You may have talent as a witch. The magic-resisting toxin has been building up in your system over the years, and yet you are still able to understand magic. If you and I had met during your youth, you might have become a powerful witch by now. Natsuhi Beatrice? Natsuhi Beatrice? I'm the wife of Ushi made across the family head. I would become even a witch or a demon to protect his honor. I'm deeply grateful for the power of your magic. I wouldn't have been able to protect the honor of the Yoshimeda family without you. Let's discuss that at another time. I'd like to enjoy it with just the two of us women drinking tea. A friend of mine who went to Sri Lanka sent me some black tea with a wonderful rose fragrance. Oh, you mean Dimbula? That isn't bad. Then you should also have some pipis on the side. You must serve me some as a reward if I manage to trick everyone for this entire family conference. It's a promise, Natsuhi. You owe me one serving of pipis. Understood. I promise. Then I'll see you later. Yes, later. The witch made her body crumble into the rustling winds, became gold flower petals, and scattered it into thin air. Natsuhi watched her go, then turned on her heels and headed for the mansion. And then there were none left in the rose garden. Finally back to some meta stuff. Okay then. It's break time. Got any complaints so far? None at all. If you have to pee, why not just go and do it? What a rude thing to say. Kenzo was already dead, right? But he's walking around and talking, isn't he? Oh, okay. Writing him too. Which one do you want me to add real? Out of the two. I have to scroll back in DMs to find him. I technically have him in a folder, but... he's fine, okay. Putting all the burden on me, huh? Okay, hold on. I might just be able to search my computer for MatPat. Yes, I can search my computer for MatPat. Of course I can. Of course, this is the fate I'm stuck with. I can find matpat.png on my computer. It's good that Umineko gives us, like, all this space around the border, huh? I could get a bit more room there. With rent-free in my computer. He does. But he's walking around and talking, isn't he? Oh, I wonder if that updates it. Come on. Doesn't that mean this is magic? Of course, I doubt this move would work on you after all this time, Baron. But what about you, Battler? Isn't this weird? Don't you have to accept the existence of the magic that revived Kinzo? If you're trying to imitate Beato, it's pissing me off, so stop it right now. You figured it out? Then come on, how are you gonna answer, Battler? Kinzo was just out for a stroll. Why not act like you always do and start holding your head crying, "This makes no sense"? Come on, use that old, "it's all useless" catchphrase, and then give me one of your classic nonsensical arguments. I want to see the small bombs again. There's no way a human who's supposed to be dead could be walking around, right? Is this all because of some unknown virus called the Rokejima syndrome that causes mass delusions? Nah, you'd be a hack if you wrote that. The scales of a mysterious form of butterfly that only lives on Rokejima happen to be hallucinogenic. Or is it all because of a mysterious secret organization called the Mountain Dogs? Oh, total hack. No. Made an as of yet undiscovered drug called Puru Puru Pikopuyo which causes mass delusions. I mean, hear tons of this wonderful crap. Shut up. It's Higurashi. It's Higurashi references. Spoilers for Higurashi. It's Higurashi references. Well, at least 2 out of 3 of them are. I don't know what the middle one was, to be fair. I don't know about the butterflies. But the other 2 are. If Mountain Dogs doesn't sound familiar, you haven't seen enough Higurashi. I don't know about the butterflies. I feel like that might just be made up. Unless that's also Higurashi. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with Higurashi, even though I have seen it. This isn't even a problem. Grandfather is dead at this point in time. There's no way he exists. Balor can use the red! The only reason he's able to act like he's alive like this is because of Aunt Natsuhi's lie, her attempt to make it through the family conference while hiding grandfather's death. Oh? It's Natsuhi's lie? You can revive the dead by lying? Wouldn't that make it Natsuhi's magic? This world is like a brown tube before you looked into it. It's the world of the cat box before you open it. As long as Natsuhi says she took a walk with grandfather, and as long as no one can confirm that it's a lie, it's possible to display Aunt Natsuhi taking a walk in the rose garden with grandfather as Natsuhi's reality. That means it's possible for grandfather to appear. Clap, clap, clap. That extremely unflattering applause was coming from Bryn Castell. Bravo. You're much calmer without Beato around. Quiet. You shut up too. Wait a second, Battler. According to your theory, sure, it might really be possible for Kinzo to appear if Natsuhi is the only person there. If Natsuhi claims to have observed Kinzo in a world with no one except Natsuhi in it, then no one can deny her, right? But Canon was in the same place, and he was also looking at Kinzo, right? How would you explain that? That's no problem at all. Canon-kun's a servant who works for the Ishimura family. Aunt Natsuhi probably ordered him to keep to her story so that she could hide grandfather's death. Because of that, Ken can see grandfather even though he shouldn't exist, just like Aunt Natsuhi can. Too bad, Lambda. Battler isn't going to fall for that kind of child's play anymore. So, here you go. You can take that logic again and recontextualize the entirety of the first 4 games. Basically, if everyone present agrees that something happened or didn't happen, then it can be shown. Simple as that. That's why we see, like, magic fights. The magic fights aren't a lie. It's just everyone in the scene accepts that they happened, you know? Kind of. That's at least one good way to think about it, pretty much. I already can tell. Seems so. Well, this is nothing more than an opening before the game's really started. It's for the magic fights and stuff. And for some other scenes. There's technically, like, kind of 2 rules behind this perception thing, and I'm gonna wait a bit because the game is going to talk about the other one soon too. Or sometime in 5 and 6. Like is that a word for appetizer? Before meal. An appetizer at a bar. Green tea at a sushi restaurant. Shut up. So we aren't gonna get any more unless I say it in blue text, huh? Looks like it. Would you mind? The reason grandfather's strolling around like nothing happened, even though he's already dead, is that people who want to make it seem as though he's alive created an illusion of him. Aperitif is an alcoholic drink. Okay, never heard of it. I don't drink much. People who think the same way can share in that illusion. Then they'll talk as though grandfather actually exists and was with them until a second ago. Oh, of course it's remote. That's why he's strolling around like it's perfectly natural. Because of this, the illusion of grandfather is unable to appear in front of people who aren't in on this without Natsuhi. That's why they made up the story of him shutting himself away in his study and refusing to come out. In the games before now, grandfather has always locked himself up in his study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in his study in a bad mood, such as claiming to have met him only a short while ago. We blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study. That's right, in the games before now, the only people who met grandfather are Uncle Kraus, Aunt Natsuhi, and the servants, because they all stuck to the same story. An illusion of grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive. You even showed us a scene at the beginning of this game, where Aunt Natsuhi convinced Dr. Nanjo and the rest to cover up grandfather's death. I'm not gonna fall for a cheap trick like that after all this time. Well, not bad. But I was hoping for the unknown drug Pudu Pudu Pico Puyo. There's no way he'd say something so ridiculous, right? After all, supposing that such a thing exists would be just as bad as surrendering to the fantasy genre. Whether it's a virus or a drug or an illness, anything that hasn't been discovered yet is in violation of Nox's 4th commandment. Oh, this is the first time Nox is brought up. Oh, buckle in. What do you mean 4th commandment? Nox's 4th. It is forbidden for unknown drugs or difficult to understand scientific devices to be used. Egex. I'm not sure when it happens. But it's coming at one point. At one point, Nox's commandments are going to be added to our tips menu. Shh, real shh. No, shh. Quiet. No. Shh. Not yet. Let there be a bit of surprise, okay? Shh. Quiet. The rule states that such things can't be used during a murder. What the hell? Unknown drug X and unknown scientific device X should be the best kinds of weapons to use when fighting against a witch. That's what I'm talking about. All of those violate the rules of a proper mystery. Supposing an unknown virus, an unknown drug, an unknown sickness, or an unknown triple X was used puts it totally in the fantasy genre. My condolences. No small bombs. If that was your theory, then it's game over for you. Well, I'm hoping that people didn't see it real. Most people didn't. Hey, what are you talking about? You think you've been fighting in direct opposition to Beato. But that's not actually true. You haven't been in direct opposition. You've been fighting along with her from a slightly different angle. All this playing detective you've done hasn't been fantasy versus mystery. It's only been fantasy versus anti-fantasy. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But there's one thing I do get. It sounds like you're saying there's something wrong with my fighting style. We're fighting to kill the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch. That means interpreting this tale as a proper mystery. In other words, from the very start, we have to ignore any and all elements that violate the taboos of the mystery genre. Ignore, you say? For example, several closed-room murders have occurred in the games before now, right? Yeah. At every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beato to make sure there are no hidden doors, right? Then that leads to a flashy bunch of red truths weaving together all over the place, almost as though that itself is the battle. I call that a waste of time. After all, it's clearly specified in Noctis 3rd. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. In the mystery genre, hidden passages mustn't exist. So, if you want to interpret everything as a proper mystery, entering this whole debate over whether there are hidden doors or not means you've lost from the beginning, see? After all, there aren't any. As soon as you suspect that they might exist, it's already game over for you. In other words, you assume you can't start theory building just because no one's yet proven that hidden doors don't exist at the crime scene. That's why I call you naive and a failure of the mystery genre. You've already lost once you start thinking that. You thought you were waging a fight to interpret everything like a mystery novel, right? Then you've got to follow the conventions of the mystery genre. Aha. Cough. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Hidden doors must not exist at any of the crime scenes. That means any time spent asking whether they exist or not is wasted. Note it says crime scenes here. I'm not saying that for any reason particular. I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it somewhere. Is this like the 10 basic rules for mystery novels or something? Yeah, that's right. They're the 10 widgets for dueling witches brandished by Nox, the peerless Archbishop of Witch Hunting. Hey, don't play with a cat. Those are the true weapons with which to fight and defeat the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch head-on. It's just like you, Byrne, to bring in such a troublesome weapon. That's the fantasy genre's arch-enemy. So you deny the existence of hidden doors right from the start without even investigating the crime scene. That sounds more like fantasy to me. I'm the who's in charge of the witch's side is fantasy. I'm the one who's fighting her, mystery. What are you? You're just barely anti-fantasy, doing nothing but dodging over and over and denying fantasy. Matt Pat has ARG rules? I mean, he's got stuff like, don't cause trouble to people, but I don't think he has 10, does he? You're opposed to absolutely everything, but you can't make any counter-proposals besides small bombs. You're like a politician from some country. Politicians love bombs. What are you talking about? Hey, come on. You are a nuisance, cat. Shut up. I didn't come in here to speak gibberish with you two. Continue the story right now. Be quiet. The sleeping princess behind you looks like she's in pain, doesn't she? Hey, Beatrice is here. When he turned around, he saw Beatrice's living corpse resting in a chair. However, sweat glistened all over her body, and it felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from high fever. Beato, what's wrong? You okay? What do you mean, is she okay? You sure do say some weird things. Aren't you fighting to kill this girl? We've rewound this 5th game for your benefit, but right now, Byrne has done a good job cornering her opponent, and is about to break through the illusion of the witch. Her existence has been almost completely denied. It's only natural that she's suffering. Just now, even you smashed the illusion of the witch by saying there's no way Kinzo exists. Here's the proof that your attack reached Beato. This agony of hers. I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Beato's forehead with a handkerchief. It's true I promised Beato that I'd let her die. But it was supposed to happen peacefully. I wasn't planning to make her suffer first. My goal wasn't to make the sleeping Beato suffer like this before killing her. Hey. No, that is chocolate. Leave it alone. As if they'd seen right through to my mixed feelings, the two witches grinned. No, it's not open or anything. It's perfectly fine. Don't worry. That only overheard because you kept yelling about the inheritance, right, Aniki? It isn't my fault, it was just an unlucky coincidence, okay? He just happened to be the corridor and heard. It was an accident, I tell you, an accident. But you two give it a rest. Just call it our bad luck this time and give it up. If you leave a man alone, his mood will pop right back to normal. Hopefully Father's feelings weren't hurt so much that he writes up some strange will. The relatives took a deep breath and fell silent. Hey, you can't jump around either, Maria. What don't you do if Angie-chan falls? Sorry to keep you waiting. The boat is ready. Okay, let's go. Won't get anywhere by complaining now. We eagerly await your return to this island. So to clarify here, this is the previous year's family conference. Hence why Angie was here and Battler was not. And why everyone left and there's no one dead. Oh. Ooh. Demon cat. Natsuhi was sitting on a bench in the rose garden looking completely worn out. However, when she noticed that Ken and Kumasawa were coming back, she immediately sat up straight, regaining the dignity of the head's wife. Did the boat leave? Yes. It departed just a minute ago. I guess there is one kind of interesting thing that I've never thought about. I guess by chance, or I guess maybe it's on purpose, maybe they assigned the servants that day on purpose. You know, it says like the servants know. Obviously we know that Goda doesn't know. Goda's never, I don't think he's been shown interacting with Kinzo so far. But like, what about the other off-duty servants that we don't see on the day of the murders that are, you know, usually around at the other days, like they get rotated in and out? I assume that, like, they probably weren't present on that day and weren't shown the truth of Kinzo and his death. So, the thing is, like, those servants are still alive. And, well, it's not like it would solve the whole Umineko mystery if we knew that Kinzo was dead beforehand. But you'd think it would be like a topic of people from the outside, maybe. I don't know. I guess it's not really a big deal as finding out who the murderer is. But I don't think there's anything that technically has said so far that, like, the other servants, like Manon and whoever, don't know about Kinzo's death. Good job seeing them off. What is my husband doing? He returned to his room a short while ago. He is resting. Since the previous day, Kraus had been almost overwhelmed by anxiety over the thought that Kinzo's death might be discovered. So this is the first conference that they did after Kinzo's death. So this was very tense for them. When the family conference ended, his weariness must have suddenly gotten a hold of him. However, the way he had refused to let even a sliver of his true intent slip out, and the manner in which he had managed to act as though everything was normal, showed that Kraus's nerve was nothing to sneeze at. How was it? Did they seem to notice anything suspicious about Father? Not at all. Ava-sama and the rest were having a big ruckus over how the master overheard them talking about the inheritance, right? Wasn't their panicking just priceless? Yes, they were quite shaken up. But Kumasawa, you really aren't quite an actress. The way you acted all panicked in the corridor made it seem like Father really was there. Kumasawa-san is quite talented at that sort of thing. Ooh, come now, I don't deserve such praise. Oh. I always have to give Genji strict orders not to easily swallow your stories when you call him sick. Now that's just too harsh, madam. Oh ho ho ho. You really did a good job. Both of you, as well as Genji and Shannon, will get your pay for a month's worth of past vacation time, as well as 5 extra days just as promised. So it probably is the same servants. That's probably the reason, like, the family conferences from that point on have this same set of servants. Makes sense, right? Consider this as a confidential benefit. Talk with Genji when you collect your pay so that the other servants don't find out. Sure, we understand, right? Usawa-san, your voice is too loud. Oh, not good, not good. Oh, ho, ho. Good point. Let's leave it at that for the time being. We shall return to our regular duties. That's right, I've had Goda prepare some specialty. So right now, since the family's left, Goda's the only one, unless there's any other servants around that potentially here. So, gotta keep it quiet from them. Goda doesn't need to know. Very much need to know basis. Natsuhi let them know she wanted to be left alone for a while so she could drink some black tea in the rose garden. The black tea that had been carried all the way to the bench was the Sri Lankan tea dimula that she had promised Beato, along with some EP5. Sitting on either side of the snack, staring at it curiously, the wife of the head and her witch could be seen. So this is EP5. I just assumed it would be some kind of big sweet. Apparently Natsuhi, not realizing that it had been a small blue orb, had started choking after putting it in her mouth. To describe it in Japanese terms, it was like fried dumpling stuffed with mashed curry-flavored potatoes. As a household dish, it would probably be pretty popular with kids. However, it was something of a shock to Natsuhi, who expected that a treat to go with tea would be sweet. Didn't you know? Dimula always goes with this. Black tea always goes with cookies. Oh, but chocolate is good too. You must have sweet bean chili with Japanese tea, although salted kombu also works. Chinese tea goes with Chinese dumplings. Though I like mooncakes too. I'm surprised. You know a lot about various cultures, don't you? Well, I haven't been living 1,000 years for nothing. I've tried refined teas from all over the world. Perhaps you could call it a journey through the world of tea. That does seem like it would be a wonderful way to travel the world. Before today, I never knew that one could enjoy tea like this. I will treasure this experience. I cannot leave Rakenjima. This is the only way I can travel. What about you? I'm sure you've elegantly traveled the world like any wealthy wife might. Before Jessica was born, my husband took me to many countries. Before marrying, I never once traveled overseas, so each time was a fresh and new experience. Sounds like you were also born into a very rigid family. It was strict, but they gave me a wonderful upbringing. It would be rude of my father and mother to call that rigid. That's a pretty eloquent way to call rigid. Cross might have pitied Natsuhi, or he might have wanted to take her away from the rigid Ushimita family for a little bit and let her rest. Or he might simply have wanted to take his wife around countries he knew well to show off everything he knew. Unlike father, my husband is fond of Asian nations. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Thailand. I think we also went to Malaysia. That Kraus, was he trying to rebel against Kinzo's Western tastes? But Asia is good too. After all, the Japanese are strongly influenced by the West. When they think of foreign countries, only Western ones come to mind. But you mustn't forget the East. I myself knew a few things about the West, but I knew very little about the East. I seem to recall my husband making fun of me now and then during our travels. Beato suddenly peered into Natsuhi's heart as the latter grumbled that the trips had all been very tiring. I have no words to say on that. Are you listening? This is called an Erica nut. Erica nut, of course. It's a popular luxury food item around here. It looked like a small round gourd-like nut that had been smashed with cucumber wedged in it. At a glance, it looked as though it probably tasted like pickles. Really. I see. So I just bite it here? As she tried to bite the one her husband was holding, he suddenly moved it away. It felt kind of embarrassing, like she was a fish after some bait. Yeah, I know. I know it's a thing. Whoa, wait up. You have to eat it a certain way. Yes, you're supposed to bite it. Bite it. Chew it. But don't swallow it. Huh? Even though you bite and chew it, you can't swallow it? Yes, bite and chew. Don't swallow. And don't drink the juice. It'll make your stomach hurt. I don't understand. Can we just go to McDonald's? Why would you eat something like that? Think of it as something like gum. Yeah, that's fair. Chew it and enjoy the flavor. Then take the scraps you bitten and the juice and spit it out into a paper cup like this. Dear, the inside of your mouth is bright red. Wipe it off. Wipe it off. Eek. Even her favorite handkerchief, which she had wiped across his mouth with, had bright red marks on it. Something that's poisonous if eaten or drunk, and it makes the inside of your mouth so bright red. And having to spit something out after you put it in your mouth. How decent. Thinking this, Natsuhi adamantly refused Krause's invitation. No way, no way. I don't need any. This is a cross-cultural experience. What's the point of traveling if we don't do things that can only be done here? Kraus kept chewing, ignoring the fact that even his lips were being colored red. I just picture him like, Natsuhi, try it. I'm gonna try it, Natsuhi. You gonna try while we're here. This is like a Erica nut. I think it's spelled like E-R-E-C-A or something like that. It might have been A at the start, I forget. Father likes these two. He must have ordered them long ago because he used to chew away at them on the mansion's terrace. Hey, you don't get to eat bottle lids. No. I don't trust you. Look here, Father, the person you respect even more than me, enjoy these all the time. Look, don't be shy. Take some. No, stop it, dear. Stop making those noises in my face. During travel, Kraus had the innocence of a child. He didn't even conceal his jealousy of the respect Natsuhi normally gave Kinzo. Just being able to see that side of her husband made traveling all the way to another country worthwhile. Kraus urged her even harder to bite it, but Natsuhi, undaunted, ran from place to place and finally yelled that he was being too pushy. Kraus was miffed the whole bus ride. What a child, let a little thing like this get him down. Natsuhi thought exasperatedly. Then a native tour guide in the bus took out one of those Erica nuts and started explaining about it. It had apparently been a beloved luxury item in these parts since ancient times, similar to tobacco. Just like in Natsuhi's case, it was starting to be disliked by young people and was becoming obsolete. Furthermore, it was treated as a good luck charm in this area, and was known as a symbol for couples. She looked at her husband's face. He turned away abruptly, but it looked like his cheeks had gone a little red. Aww. It's cute. So, you then leaned on your husband and held his hand, did you? What the heck? You and your husband share pretty pure love, don't you? Did you get all fired up? You know, like that night? Does Beatrice just sit and watch on the side because they both acknowledge her? Hee. Red-faced and avoiding Vieto's eye. She's two eyes. Natsuhi tried to hide her embarrassment by swallowing the pee-pee's hole. Chewing with her cheeks puffed out like a blowfish. Vieto said, "Yep, this is the best snack anyone could have with tea," and nodded several times, a broad smile on her face. I had banana bread for my snack earlier. However, that's only how it was when we were newlyweds. Right now, I cannot even leave Rakenjima. I'm a bird in a cage. Well, it's the same for me. I can keep dying, but I just can't escape Rakenjima. I'm also a bird in a cage. I don't know much about you, and I won't pry. However, I do see that you face circumstances not to be taken lightly. I have no desire to act like the chief prisoner here. Let's be friendly as fellow birds in this cage. I've taken a liking to you. Really? Thank you. The instructions and orders you gave the servants for this family conference were superb. You took everything from where Kinzo would be and when, what he did and what he left behind, and put it all together splendidly without any contradictions. That detailed written plan of yours had the same beauty as a high-level magic circle. To make it look like Kinzo actually existed and was living life his own way, she had written his schedule for the day down to the finest detail and made the servants follow it to the letter. When did he meet whom and where, and what did he leave them? When did he go to the bathroom? When did he do what and where and what changed? As a result, even though the relatives never saw Kinzo even once, they hadn't suspected in the slightest that he hadn't been there. Abe and the rest truly believed that Kinzo would just happen to be walking through the hall when he heard them talking about the inheritance and went into a rage. Everything had gone just as Natsuhi's plan had predicted down to the finest detail. And the cooperation with the servants had also worked smoothly down to the finest detail. We had to stop the secret from getting out no matter what the cost. That's why I double-checked the plan thoroughly. Your willpower and attention to detail summoned success with certainty. As a witch, it seems that you're in Lady Delta's camp. At your current level, and as soon as you become self-aware of that as magic, you will be worthy of calling yourself a witch apprentice. If you call something like that magic, then that would make Kusawa the witch of feigned illnesses. It's only on busy days that she calls us to say she's taking the day off because of her bad back. Like every year's family conference, for example. Oh no, you've got Kumasawa completely wrong there. She's a witch of a much, much higher level. If you knew what she really was, it'd shock you. Okay, long silence. Watching these two have their pleasant chat was another pair with steam rising from their black tea. However, this second pair was in a world that the first couldn't see, where golden roses blossomed, blossomed. Ronade was kind enough to make us some of that Dimbula tea too. It felt as though Beato muttered something. For the first time, it felt as though something had gotten through to her. Surely she had taken an interest in the black tea and felt like drinking it. Thinking this, Bella took Beato's cup in her hand, making her hold the cup. Taking care of disabled Grandma Beato. Beato's eyes trembled sadly and her fingers shook. Almost as though she couldn't even move her fingers as she wanted to. And it was mourning the fact that she could no longer enjoy the tea she'd once loved by her own power. That's how she looked. So Bella put his hand on Beato's, grabbed hold of the teacup and lifted it to her lips. Then, though it was only a single mouthful, Beato sipped. The days they had been locked in a killing fest with red swords and blue wedges already seemed like the distant past. Now, not only was Beato unable to do that, it was even difficult for her to make her body do as she pleased. Even just drinking a mouthful of black tea like this was hard. I ship them. How is it? That rose aroma makes for a great black tea. Do you like it? Of course. Beato didn't respond. What happened to you? Is this another strategy? Are you pretending to be in a slump so you can shock me later? If that's what you're after, the same trick won't work again, so give it a rest. I can't get fired up with you like this. Hey, isn't it about time for you to start laughing loudly, saying, "Caught you, dumbass," or something? Any kind of joke stops being funny if you drag it out too much. Especially if it's a rehash. Laugh. Just like you're cackling over there as you drink without Natsuhi. She ain't laughing. Can you at least grin? Never again. This child will never laugh again. Those sudden words were exceedingly cruel. How can you say that for sure? Don't you try to take Beato's right to laugh away from her. Oh, should I say it in red then? I shook my head furiously. Then, with an expression that didn't reveal her thoughts in the slightest, Benka still spoke while looking Beato's face. And the word she used was completely incomprehensible to me. Congratulations. For what? Beato was like this as a result of your victory. What are you talking about? You said something interesting in the previous game. You said this would be torture where you both torment each other. That was right. It's torture for Beato as well. And you won that torture game. That's why Beato's soul was killed, why she became a doll-like corpse. You saying I did this to Beato? The battle ends when one of you loses the will to try and win. As far as the battle between you and Beato goes, that was already concluded in the previous game. Well, it probably happened without you noticing, though. In that case, why isn't the game ended if I've already won? Why is this game still continuing? The shackle attached to that girl's ankle. That's a rule Lambda made. Even if Beatrice tries to yield or gets discouraged or gives up, she's not capable of stepping down from the game. That's the rule. Or maybe it's a curse. In the past, I supported you when it looked like you were going to give in. Though you probably couldn't perceive it. I assisted you by giving you hints and making things go your way. That's why you're able to be here now. Remember? Remember how I saved you? Brinka still stared at me. It's true I wasn't aware of it, but just maybe, I was saved by her. In the same way, Lambda is supporting Beato. And this time, Beato is on the verge of giving in. That's why Lambda's been giving her support this round, to keep her from giving in. That's what the shackle is. By refusing to let her resign, she's rescued Beato within the game. Rescued her from what? Normally, there are only two ways for this game to end. Either one side will accept defeat and resign, or one side will win the game with a checkmate. Beato was about to collide with the first way. That's why Lambda crushed that chance and managed to just barely avoid losing. By the rules of this game, that's an impressive bit of support. So, the only way this game can end now is if I win. At the very least, until I do win, this witch called Lambda Delta can probably try to buy time for Beato to make a comeback. But that'll just prolong Beato's suffering even more. Neither of us want that. Both Beato and I fought with all we had, trying to win. The game repeated several times because we were both giving it everything we could muster. Then, that one time, we confronted each other head-on with all our strength. And Beato acknowledged her loss. She said she wanted me to end this game, and entrusted everything to me. So, Bryn Castell's words are the truth. She said it's my fault Beato's become a living corpse. That's true. But it's something both of us wanted. Exactly does winning mean, then? Our match has already been resolved. Even so, this game won't end. That's why Beato put her trust in me. She told me to win quickly and end this game. Now that the game's been resolved, letting it continue any further means endless torture for Beato. Nothing more than a nightmare. I've got to give her a perfect checkmate, end this game in the truest sense, and let her rest in peace. For that reason, I'll keep fighting. But by continuing the game, Beato's eternal torture will continue. It felt as though I could only let her sleep peacefully by slowly strangling her to death. I'm starting to feel like the truth doesn't matter anymore. As long as Beato's satisfied, who cares what happens in the game? Beato resigned. I'll abandon the truth of the illusion of the witch and return home with my family. Is there anything wrong with that? If only Lamb the Delta hadn't placed the curse of that shackle on her, this battle would be over already. That's why I found it detestable. This game, which I can't finish without tormenting Beato more, is detestable. Well, that's this. Beato's starting to look like she's in pain every time you get closer to the truth, so you're suddenly going easy on her. Then go easy on her as much as you can. And why don't you just let Beato win while you're at it? Then your little sister can have a literally tragic future forced on her endlessly. That's not how it is. That's right. I have to return for Angie's sake as well. I know this isn't the time to start feeling compassion for Beato. In that case, make sure you kill her. Kill this witch without fail. Even though Beato was right there, Ridka still spoke without holding back. Your goal is to kill this woman. In the last game, you said it at Beato's request. You said, I'll kill you. Yeah, that may be true, but that doesn't mean you get to complain about it. Did you know? When you tear one of your fingernails out, it's better to do it in one go. Pulling it out like you do, timidly, twisting and slow, hurts much, much more. What you're doing sounds much more like torture to me. If you have any compassion, kill her all at once. That's how killing works. That's none of your business. I'm the one who gets to decide how to perform her last rites. You and that Lamb the Delta Witch have nothing to do with this. I'll kill her. I won't let anyone else do it. As long as you don't lose that willpower. I'm betting on you. Okay? Make sure you don't forget. Unless this game is resolved, you will never be released. You won't be allowed to abandon this game either. She said it in red. I get it. I know what Lambda's after. She wants to make you lose your will to fight just like Beato. To make you a pair of living dolls. To keep this world in perpetual equilibrium. You don't want that, do you? I wouldn't like it either. Why should I give a damn about what you want? Still, I won't throw this game away. I won't abandon my responsibility to fight against Beato. God, our goals are the same. So, you'll be able to kill this child without any hesitation, right? That's right. I have no way of knowing whether those words eased her pain or hurt her. But I can tell by the dull tingling in my chest that I surely believe I've hurt her. I have no way of knowing what the silent Beato feels. If I think I've hurt her, does that mean she's actually been hurt? And if I didn't think I had hurt her, would that mean no one's gotten hurt because of me? Dameda, zenzen dameda. Zenzen wakannai. So, about the Beato who's drinking tea over there with Natsuhi. You can handle that, right? Yeah, no problem. It's the same as it was with Kinzo. Beatrice doesn't exist. This is a fake illusion of a witch that Natsuhi created, since she believes she was borrowing a witch's power when she thought up a brilliant plan to overcome hardship. She got so stressed she started hallucinating, I guess. It only looks like they're drinking together because Lamb the Delta, who's the game master and the one telling the story, interpreted it that way. Alright, don't forget that Lamb the Delta's the game master here. It's very important. So, she's the one in Beatrice's role showing this to us, and to Meta Battler. If you could stare at the scene without a fragment of love for Natsuhi, you wouldn't see an illusion like that. That's why, with my eyes, all I can see is Natsuhi all alone, drinking her tea in silence. Without love, it cannot be seen. Because love is lacking, it cannot be seen. You're looking at a daydream Natsuhi is showing us. Beatrice doesn't exist there. Ugh. Beato mumbled softly. It was a small voice that made it sound like she was in pain. The thorn of Baron Castell's truth had stabbed into her chest. Yeah, that's probably true. I think your theory is right. But don't say that in front of Beato. It doesn't matter where I say it. This is Beato's world we're in. Also, it's not like I'm protecting Beato, but it's still possible Natsuhi really is drinking tea with some unknown person X, who calls themselves Beatrice. Battler Y. This scene takes place a year before everything. The number of people on the island on this day has never been shown with a red truth. Sure, even Lambda hasn't said anything about red about the number of people in Arkanjima on this day. In that case, it's possible for Natsuhi to claim that she really did drink tea with a woman calling herself Beatrice. Just like I can't deny your theory, you can't deny mine. That means you can't say for sure whether the Beato there is an illusion or not. Oh, is this catbox theory? That might have worked on Beato, but it won't work on me. Why not? After all, Natsuhi is drinking tea all by herself right there. Wow. There was a violent sound of glass breaking, and the Beato laughed happily and cracked jokes about Natsuhi's newlywed years was erased. A lonely wind blew, and the one person who remained on the bench drinking tea with a tired expression wasn't Natsuhi all by herself. Beato groaned. I could see clearly that she was in anguish. Another illusion of the witch had been smashed, drawing Beato towards death. In short, this is what the battle to let Beato rest in peace is all about. A second ago, Brenkistow likened our fight to the torture of tearing fingernails out. If I have to tear them out anyway, then my last bit of compassion towards Beato should be to minimize that pain. In other words, even if I want to minimize her pain, I still have to cause it. I have to accept that look of anguish on her face. And at the same time, I realized what a merciless thing the red truth was. Yeah, it's just denying someone's happiness. Right now, in this rose garden, there's no one except Aunt Natsuhi. In other words, there are no observers except for Aunt Natsuhi. So if that lone observer were to say that she had some tea with Beato, no one should be able to refute that. If there's something no one can deny, doesn't that mean it's truth? If a witch falls in a forest and no one's around to see it, did she really trip on her face? Aunt Natsuhi is enjoying the roses and drinking tea together with Beato. How could anyone have the right to mercilessly trample that pleasant moment? The red truth is like a blade. In a battle with a witch, it's a blade that sometimes tears your theories apart, but sometimes becomes a weapon you can fight back with. I know. So what? Don't use it without reason. A blade is a tool if you use it when you're supposed to, but it's a weapon if you use it out of malice. True enough, Aunt Natsuhi wasn't really drinking tea with a witch. However, saying that with the red truth probably has nothing to do with our game. Our game is the tale of October 1986. The 2 days of the crime give us more than enough time to injure each other with the red and blue blades glistening. This isn't about the illusion of the witch. It's about Aunt Natsuhi's privacy. How could anyone have the right to expose that? Do you want to acknowledge that a witch actually existed here and drank tea with Natsuhi? When you're trying to deny the existence of witches? That's right, if we're talking about our game, the 2-day period from October 4th to 5th in 1986. But I have no desire to question whether or not witches exist outside that game board. In the first place, the devil's proof argument makes it impossible to deny the existence of witches. And, according to the rules of this game, saying something like what you did in red is a forbidden move that leads to a stalemate. You can't deny the existence of witches, not even with the red truth. True. I never thought I'd hear you talk so glibly about witches existing. Not bad, Lambda. You've done a good job getting Battler stuck between his human culprit theory and the idea that witches existing would be so bad. She really excels at controlling human hearts. Looks like I'd better start helping you out even more. I really couldn't care less about you two. Disappear. This game is between Beato and me. We're gonna keep this game to ourselves. No way. What? After all, I'm enjoying this game too. She's just here to have fun. Brenkistow disappeared, leaving only that unpleasant laugh behind. We're getting a lot more Brenkistow. A lot more of the other witches in general now. After that, all that remained was Natsuhi, sipping tea all alone. Beato, her hand still on the teacup as she stared blankly at the surface of the liquid, and me. Brenkistow and Lambda Delta. Vigilia called them your friends, but you really should choose your friends more carefully. Or wait, maybe they actually make a good match with an ill-natured person like you. Beato didn't answer. Ella took Beato's hand, made her hold the cup again, and brought it to her lips. Beato made a quiet sound in her throat and drank another gulp. At least she's enjoying the tea, I guess. Then Natsuhi's lonely tea time ended. That truth, which was Natsuhi's alone and observed by no one else, had been defiled. In Natsuhi's world, surely, that tea party, which had been peaceful despite her annoyance at Beato for making fun of her too much, came to an end, and the two of them parted ways. However, in Natsuhi's exposed truth, she was all alone. Natsuhi tottered away. On the bench, only a single person's cup remained. It definitely frames Beatrice differently, but to be fair, like, most of the other episodes kind of, like, alternate with how they frame her, too. Things get weird at the end of episode 4, for example. I don't know if this is up to the family conference or not yet. Probably not, but I think that's a good point to wrap up regardless, because it's been a good almost 3 hours.